All right, welcome to the Paid in Green Peppers movie review podcast. This is our special edition, live action video version of the podcast. So it's not technically a podcast, it's a video cast, I guess you would call it. And anyway, we have a guest host tonight, filling in for my partner in crime, Mr. Shane Aiden, who unfortunately could not be here this evening. We have with us, however, filling one of his big shoes, Mr. Jacob Stamp. How's it going, Jacob?
It's going great.
Tell us a little bit about yourself for the fans out here.
I am Jacob Stamp. I have a channel on YouTube called Soil Horror. We show different things around Southern Illinois. We also have a horror host show called Zago's Horror Extravaganza. We've been on, obviously, our YouTube channel. We've been on the Monster channel and Harry Late Night. I don't know. I've grown up around horror movies or schlock. Yeah, I'm a big fan. Excited to watch this movie with you guys tonight and see how that goes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I have actually known Mr. Jacob Stamp here since he was created. Yeah. So it's been a while, right?
Yeah,
it's been a few decades or so, right? Yeah, it's been a while.
The start of my third decade.
Yeah, so that's pretty awesome. Yeah. All right. Well,
I think I know your next host pretty well.
You might be familiar with the next host.
Came from his loins.
You did. You actually did. You leapt from them, from what I understand.
I ran.
That's what rumor has it. You ran.
I was the fastest swimmer of the bunch.
You're quite the sprinter, my friend. Yes, yes.
Enough about me.
Enough about you.
The legend, the one, the only.
Mr. Jeff Stamp, why don't you, I tell you what, why don't you just sit in that chair there, and I think I can squeeze you into the same shot. All right. And, yeah, well, it's a family affair. Yeah, that's what we got going on here. Yeah, there's some love going on here. The Paid in Green Peppers podcast. All right, let me maneuver over just a hair. Perfect. All right, Mr. Jeff Stamp, you're filling the other shoe that Mr. Shane Aiden has left vacant on this evening for this special edition of the Paid in Green Peppers podcast. So tell us a little bit about yourself, sir.
Oh yeah, just you know, my name is Jeff Stamp. I've been watching these movies since I can remember. I had an aunt that never had any children of her own, and she basically took care of me like I was her child. And part of her fixation at the time was every weekend we would go to the drive-in, and every time that we would go into town, she'd let me go into a comic book store and buy comic books and famous monster magazines and you name it. And so by the time that I was you know, 7, 8 years old, I was already hooked. I was watching every movie that I could see, and they weren't as easy to see back in the 1960s and stuff. But you know, I've been watching this stuff as long as I can remember, and it never stopped. You know, I never outgrew it. I never lost interest in it. And I'm 63 years old now, and Jacob and I have went to many a convention together. Pat, you and I have
went to yes, we've been around the block a few times. Yes, we have.
And
well, now I'm sorry to interrupt, but now you've branched out and you've started writing movie reviews of your own.
I do. I have a blog called Crappy Movie Caravan. It sucks because I haven't wrote a lot. I've only got like 6 or 7 reviews on there.
Well, there's only 6 or 7 crappy movies.
Well, the ones that I did are really good. It's just I haven't done many. That was all originally stemmed from one Sunday. I remember watching Big Alligator River in my basement, and Jacob walks in and said, "Oh, it's Shitty Movie Sunday again." And so, not wanting to put that on everything that I published, I put Crappy Movie Caravan.
Nice tweak. Yes.
Point it down. But, yeah, you know, I do that, but I haven't done a lot. I've been kind of sick here lately. But, you know, I'm getting better, and I might start back up again. But tickled to death to be here with some of my, you know, favoriteest people to do this.
Well, we're glad you guys could make it, because we are tickled to death to have you guys here.
Oh, yeah.
as I said, filling in the big shoes of Mr. Shane Aiden, and you guys are well acquainted with him as well.
Sure,
I know.
and we miss you, Shane.
Yes, we do. We certainly do. And I know you're out there grimacing at something right now. We cannot wait to have you back on board, sir.
Absolutely.
So have you seen this movie before, Dad?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. But
It's like
been a
you.
while.
Okay. Cool. This is my first viewing.
Ah, well, there you go. A blind view, right?
I started watching it with my little girl. We got 15 minutes in, and she said, "Daddy, this is so boring. Let's watch something else." And then,
and that was it. That was enough of that.
Yeah. That's how far we
Which
got.
some of these people may do the same.
Yeah, exactly.
They may. You know, you just never know.
But the true fans will stick it.
The true fans will. They will. So, yes, they will. So I'm going to jump in here in between you. We're going to introduce the podcast tonight. And so I'm sneaking right in here, folks.
Come on in.
You sit on my lap.
All right. I will. Here we go. Margaret, can you check real quick and see if... I'm sure I'm fine.
Yeah, you are.
My lovely assistant, wife, Margaret Heights. Thank you for working behind the camera tonight.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So I guess on the count of three, I guess, what do you guys want to say? Welcome to the Paid in Green Peppers podcast.
For live
video.
Live, yeah, I like that. Okay, so welcome to the Paid in Green Peppers live video review. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Welcome to the
Paid in Green Peppers podcast live video review. There we go. We nailed it.
Pat, wake up. Wake up. Wake up. It's time to film the podcast.
Just film the podcast.
No,
With Jeff and Jacob.
Jeff and Jacob aren't coming. We're filming the podcast with me and you and Justice. Our top 5 Halloween picks.
But me and Jeff and Jacob just filmed the podcast. We reviewed, Shabella and Pepita.
Get up! It's time to film the podcast.
Oh,
Come
okay.
on.
All right.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of the Paid in Green Peppers movie review podcast. This edition, however, is going to be a little different, right, guys?
Right.
Sitting with me tonight, filling in for my usual co-host, Shane Aiden, are none other than Mrs. Margaret Height.
Hello.
And Mr. Justice Height. Hey,
Hey,
that's right.
for
They're excited
sure.
to be here, filling in for Shane. Sorry you couldn't be here, Shane.
I'll be the Shane for the night.
Yeah.
He'll be the Shane for the night. So this is actually our live, we're recording it live, I should say, videocast version of the podcast. It's our Halloween special. It's the first time we've done this sort of thing. So we are actually going to be discussing each individual person's top 5 Halloween-oriented films. And what I mean by that is anything from the horror or sci-fi genre that we deem viewable for Halloween. So we're going to not waste any more time with that. Are you guys excited?
Yeah.
Excited to be here?
Not really.
So why don't we look at the camera, and on the count of 3, we'll say welcome to the Paid in Green Peppers Halloween videocast. Does that sound good?
Okay.
Okay, on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Welcome to the Paid in Green Peppers Halloween videocast.
And I hope you can
Yes.
survive it.
I think we'll be all right. All right.
Death stares. My
So,
goodness.
the first film we're going to talk about actually comes from my list, and it is called The House by the Cemetery by Mr. Lucio Fulci, famous Italian filmmaker. He did The Beyond, House by the Cemetery, which is what we're talking about here, of course. Zombie, just all kinds of stuff. New York Ripper. He's done a lot of really awesome things in that genre. I'm a huge fan, but this is one.
I fell asleep for him.
All of which you watched, yeah, that's okay. You tried. You gave it the old
No, I
college
stood
try.
behind my
But yeah, House by the
eyes.
Cemetery is one of my top 5 Halloween views. So if you guys haven't seen it, you should check it out. It's atmospheric. It's got that Italian feel, It's got some gore. It's got
a spooky basement with a disfigured evil scientist, Dr. Freudenstein, I believe is his name. Correct me if I'm wrong. Freudenstein or I don't know. Freudenstein, perhaps.
Sounds like Frankenstein and Sigmund Freud.
If they had a child and he fell into a vat of acid and put on a doctor's outfit, I think that might be exactly what we're dealing with here.
I think they were just trying to come up with a Jewish-sounding doctor name, and they were pulled some stuff out of a hat, and there you go.
That could be. That could be. But you guys have all seen the film. I know we viewed it on multiple Halloweens.
Is it
not this
full of,
year.
like bloody breasts or something?
Bloody breasts. A lot of circumcision scenes. That's the uncut version. I choose not to watch that. It makes me squeamish every time. So I opt for the, got the moil and all that. But now we've watched this quite a few times. As you said, you may or may not have made it through once.
I know
Maybe,
I did.
Probably not.
No.
But the gist of it, if I remember correctly, it's a woman and her son. Correct me if I'm wrong, Justice, because I know you've seen it as
This
well.
woman and her
They move
son.
into a new house, right?
He's scary.
A house by a cemetery, or close by, in close proximity. But anyway, of course, all of these weird things start happening, and it turns out that there's this evil Dr. Freudenstein or Stein living in their basement. And
Is that this guy?
that is him. Yeah, that's him. That's
Technically-
isn't he a
It's
beautiful
like
specimen
a
of man?
person or something.
I don't know. Yeah.
Technically, it is his house.
Well, that's true. They moved into his house, and everyone is assuming that he's dead and gone.
Yeah, so it's kind of their fault.
Although he looks dead. I mean, I don't know what... I never quite... And maybe I'm just
Dead
not
but not
remembering
gone.
exactly why he's still alive. I mean, he was doing these experiments, correct?
On
Yeah.
himself.
Was there some serum or something he came up with to preserve his tissue? I don't remember.
He didn't do a very good job because he looks like he's got like a grocery bag over his face.
Yeah, and someone must have melted it because that's exactly... It looks like a melted grocery
Looks
bag.
like a peckerhead.
Peckerhead?
Can you say peckerhead?
When you just
No
did.
cursing!
No cursing! Danhausen says so. Yeah, he's a hideous figure. And of course he ends up, trying to, take out the wife and child.
Why?
or
Because he
whatever.
doesn't want him in their house?
Because he's just evil. Why do these guys do anything? They're
Well,
driven
I
by
think-
evil and
I think he might have been using like people's organs or something that he was killing to like.
to keep himself alive.
Yeah, maybe.
That
Oh, so
that
he
rings a
wanted
bell.
to use theirs?
Yeah, I guess he didn't have a blood
Oh.
type or anything he needed. It was just whatever.
Yeah, because there's science involved there.
negative. Or,
Yeah,
or
right.
whatever. Yeah.
So
Yeah, the universal blood type.
I guess he did. So it just whoever happened to move into his house.
I don't think he necessarily was.
Also, so he had other people that moved into his house?
Yeah, because in the beginning of it, there was like a ghost girl in a picture of the house. It was like, "Don't come here."
Oh, that's right.
So he was pretending to be dead so people would move into his house so he could have their stuff?
I don't know if he was necessarily pretending to be dead or he was just kind of hanging out and they were like, "Yeah, whatever, free property to sell." He also kind of has like, from what we're talking about, he has kind of like Nazi scientist vibes. I don't remember if he was like a Nazi scientist. I don't think he was, but it's very similar.
Well, he's got that weird, I don't know, almost like a Nazi lab coat thing going
So
on.
is
with
he
the buttons.
Adolf Freudenstein?
You say he
Stein?
ate off of Freud?
No.
What? I don't think he can eat his mouth is all.
No, he hasn't.
It's all
Never
douche.
mind.
No, I don't know. But, so he's like the world's worst landlord, really.
He is.
But I don't know. But,
We've had landlords like that.
yes, we have. So anyway, if you get a chance to check out,
Now we're our own landlords.
we are, thank you Jesus,
Yes.
House by the Cemetery by Lucio Fulci. So anyway, we're going to move on to our next movie, which I believe Margaret picked out. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, so this is one of her picks, of her top 5 Halloween choices to watch this Halloween season. And what is yours?
I picked Candyman.
Candyman, that's a good one. So what about Candyman appeals to you?
I don't know. It was scary.
It is? Yeah, I agree with that.
I found out last night. I thought I saw it when I was a little kid.
Like, how old did you think you were when you saw
I think I was
Candyman?
like maybe 8.
And you were,
Yeah,
how far
92,
off
you're
were
right.
you?
Yeah.
16.
So you were a little bit older than 8 when you saw the
I
film.
saw it at Rogers Theater in Anna, Illinois. And
Shout out to Rogers.
I don't remember who I was with. Probably some boyfriend or something. If I was 16.
Well, hey, you know.
I don't know. You could have been with some boyfriend at 8, right?
No, maybe it was my cousin Michelle or something. But anyway, I remember seeing it, and all I remember is it was scary, and you had to say his name 3 times.
Right.
Did you have to look in a mirror like Bloody Mary? Did you?
It was basically like Bloody Mary. Yeah.
See, that's so terrible. I don't remember. And I remember.
Well, you
that,
saw it when you were 16.
Yeah, and I'm 46.
But it made such an impact. You still
30 years later.
hail that as a good Halloween film. So.
And I remember that it takes place in what Cabrini Green is that in Chicago?
That is right. Yeah.
And there was some like journalist, right?
I believe so.
She wasn't a journalist. She was like a college student. She was writing her
her thesis.
Her thesis.
Something.
Yeah, her boyfriend was like a professor or something.
And it was Virginia Madsen, I believe, playing the part.
Oh yeah.
But she was writing her thesis on like urban legends.
Oh, okay. She was investigating the.
Okay, but I remember Tony Todd was extremely scary.
He's a creepy dude in the voice. He's got that deep, scary voice.
Oh, we met him, remember?
We did meet him.
What was it at?
Contamination.
The first one.
It might have been the first one.
No, maybe it was the second one. I don't know. I think
it was one of the first 2.
It was the second one.
Was it the second one? It was the one down
in St. Louis.
I actually watched like 2/3 of this movie recently, so.
So you're fresh up on it.
Yeah.
Oh, you watched with Ty, right?
Well, yeah, and then he had to leave.
never saw it, yeah.
Yeah, and then he had to leave.
Well, there were bees and no spiders, so he was.
So you didn't finish it though.
Yeah.
No, because he had to leave, but yeah, we.
But I remember this movie gave me nightmares. I thought it was 8 when I had nightmares.
So it scared you to the point of thinking you were a small child when you saw it because before it instilled in you.
But apparently I was 16 and it was scary to me. But we met him. That was cool.
It was very cool.
Yeah.
It's always neat to, meet someone
Here's
like
another picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what was the scene here with the mouth, the open mouth?
That was essentially she goes to investigate.
Oh, and she sees like this graffiti, right?
Well, what happens is she goes to investigate about it because there was this lady who died in her bathtub, and I guess they were calling the cops, and they didn't care because it was a low-income neighborhood. And when the time they got there, she was dead, and somebody had crawled through, like, I guess the back of the mirror, because the mirrors were connected.
Oh.
And she's like, oh, cool, I'm just going to go crawling through this hole in a mirror. And when she crawls through, on the other side is this graffiti, and there's, like, candy with, like, razor blades on the ground.
Oh,
when I was a kid, there were candy with razor blades.
I don't know if there was actually candy with razor blades, because I think... if you do some research, you find that there was like one story of that happening, and it was an internal affair where they were trying to trick somebody.
In Illinois, at Union County Hospital, they actually, I believe, I don't know, they didn't do this for me, but they X-rayed candy, right?
Yeah, I think they did
or
to make sure there were no...
Unless
that was made up as well.
Yeah.
It's all a bit of an urban legend, I guess, just like Candyman.
It's okay to X-ray your candy when you have to go in wearing like lead suits. The radiation is no problem with that Hershey's bar. It wards it right off.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, or those little like gummy Mary Janes.
They're not gonna.
They're full of radiation anyway.
Preservatives and stuff.
Yeah, so they're fine. Yeah, but. Candyman, that's one of my picks.
All right. Well, I guess we're gonna move on to.
It was scary when I was 16.
Yeah, made you feel like you were 8. So that's a pretty horrific thing.
Oh my gosh.
So I guess the next one is coming from Mr. Justice Height. Anna, what film are we gonna be looking at next here?
We'll be looking at The Stuff, which is horrific. Not necessarily because it's so scary. It's kind of a gross body horror a little bit, and I guess somewhat of a commentary on consumerism.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's very deep, but yeah, I agree with that completely.
Well, I mean, with the stuff, enough's never enough.
Yeah, kind of like
yeah,
Crocs,
the catchphrase.
Or
no, because Crocs are stupid.
Yeah, so
I thought you said something else.
Stuff.
But anyway, let's move on.
Oh.
I don't know what that is. I mean,
those have been popular for a long time.
Chickens, yes. So The Stuff,
it's
Garrett Morris, famous Garrett Morris.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the guy from
Two Broke Girls.
Yes,
and Saturday Night Live and a million
The Jeffersons.
The Jeffersons.
Yes.
Or as in this movie, it was called Chocolate Chip Charlie, which obviously wasn't at all
What's
Little
wrong
edgy.
with us now?
Well, yeah, I mean, Chocolate Chip Charlie.
Well, essentially,
Now, was that a take on Famous Amos a little bit? Because Famous Amos, you know, famous cookie maker,
I don't
chocolate chips.
I don't know if it
I don't
was-
know.
I don't think it's that deep. But obviously,
Maybe not. Maybe not.
but obviously, you know, in
Stuff.
this universe, people are obviously easily influenced. You know, which further goes with that because I mean, a guy just finds some white goo popping out of the ground.
Oh,
Just,
maybe it's like manna.
No, it's not
Oh,
like
it's
man.
not
It's
like
like a
manna.
parasite.
Quite the opposite.
But yeah, it's like marshmallow fluff, except it takes.
Oh,
over your
I
mind.
see why they like
Yeah,
it.
you see his face in this. It's all disfigured. I never understood exactly why eating this stuff would cause your body to disfigure
this next
like that.
picture, they sold it like ice cream.
Oh yeah, you can buy it in the grocery
Yeah,
store.
in the
It
movie,
was marketed.
essentially, yeah, it's
Oh,
like
it's pretty.
it's like little
It's very-
pints.
yeah.
It's like little pints of ice cream, and they would sell it because the farmer who found it coming out of the ground and decided to eat it was like, "Oh, this is really good."
It's
So-
like
because if
keto ice cream.
Right, because if I'm not mistaken, didn't he just see it oozing out and he
Yeah.
tastes it?
yeah, he tastes it.
Who does
and-
that? Who
Oh.
does that?
People,
Apparently a farmer,
people
right?
in the country, yeah. But anyways, apparently he likes it enough that he
I
markets it
smelled
to
it.
the whole
Oh.
country.
That's safer.
So obviously it's so good he
Probably
markets
not
it to the
good.
whole country, and then it slowly takes over their minds where they can only eat that. And if you don't eat it, they want to force you to eat it, which is kind of weird. Like I remember there was this one kid in particular who was like, "Oh no, that's gross. I don't want to eat it." And they're like, "Did you eat your stuff?" And like he flushes it down the toilet.
Like tofu.
Because these are all
or
people that are
soy milk.
controlled by this stuff.
yeah,
right?
he would replace it with shaving cream to like try to convince them, but it didn't end up working.
Why would you want to eat shaving cream?
to make
Because
them
it's
think
better
you ate
than
this
eating
stuff.
an alien parasite.
I guess so.
But essentially,
Oh, they would eat it to make the people think that they were eating the stuff.
This stuff to keep them off their backs, basically.
Oh.
Yeah.
but anyways, there's like a reporter who found this out, and it's
Stick your head
him
in
and
the barrel of
him and the
shaving
kid and a few other people that are kind of trying to get rid of it, and they're trying to destroy it. And by the end of it, they think they had been rid of the stuff. But Chocolate Chip Charlie, who was hanging out with this guy,
The guy from
yeah, he
before.
starts flailing around. His mouth
I'm gonna
opens
see
all
him
wide.
again. That's this
Now let's get
guy.
another look at him. And then the
Oh, yeah.
stuff starts
Ah.
oozing out of his mouth, and it's a really disgusting scene, but it's quite memorable. So,
Well, my favorite part of the
Pretty
film, if I remember correctly, is like you said there. I think it was the
He
reporter.
looks like he has some horrible.
The guy that played the
STDs.
reporter, I could Google his name, but I won't waste the time. Hilarious in this film because the writing is curtailed in such a way that when he delivers these lines, that's biting sarcasm that just comes off just awesome. So
I've never seen this.
it's really quite.
it's
amazing.
basically if The Blob was like a statement on society in
Yeah,
a comedy.
and if I'm not mistaken,
Oh, it's a
isn't the
comedy.
Well, it's semi-comedic. I mean, the guys, they're eating marshmallow fluff, and the
isn't
guy
the lady
throws
from the
up.
Wendy's commercial in this movie as well? The old lady that says, "Where's the beef?"
Oh, is she?
I think she has a bit part in
The
this
where's
one.
the beef
I think
lady?
if I'm wrong,
Does she say that's the
put it in the
stuff?
comments. But
Where's
I
the
think
beef?
she is.
I don't know.
I think we're gonna say she is. I'm
I like-
almost.
What is her name?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Old lady.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's really about all I have to say about this movie. It is really good, and I
and
highly
it's
recommend
the
it.
stuff.
All right, our next film, which ironically, I don't know why it's ironic. I just felt like saying that comes off of my list, is the great cult classic, Dracula versus Frankenstein. I hope you've seen it. If you haven't, I highly recommend it. This film has the likes of Lon Chaney Jr., J. Carrol Nash, Zandor Vorkov, etc. Regina Carroll. Lots of people. Well, you know, the fan base will know, and if you don't, it doesn't matter.
Fun fact: the movie was filmed for $20.
I don't think that's true, but
Oh, Jim, you forgot Russ Tamblyn.
Russ
and
Tamlin's in the
Jim
film.
Davis.
Yes, Jim Davis. Yeah.
And Angelo Rossita.
Yes. And for those of you that are familiar with his work, he was one half of Master Blaster, and of course the,
I don't even know what
Thunderdome
that is.
film.
Oh yeah,
Mad
big
Max
character.
Beyond Thunderdome.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the one with Pauly Shore.
What film was that?
Biodome.
Oh no, definitely
Completely
not.
different movie, but okay.
I like
He
that.
may have been in that. I don't remember, but he may have been in both of those films.
Nobody
so.
remembers all these AAA celebrities here.
Right. So anyway, Dracula versus Frankenstein. I just, this is honestly one of my favorite guilty pleasures, if you will. As I said, it's got all these actors in there. Not exactly in their heyday anymore.
Lon Chaney Jr.?
That's actually Lon Chaney Jr.,
Oh,
who doesn't actually speak in the film. He grunts and things of that nature.
Wasn't this after like the severe bout with alcoholism?
Oh, sure.
And that's why he's in.
After or during?
And this is one of his last screen appearances, sadly.
He's like,
That's why he's in this movie. No more high-level Universal stuff. They're like, get off the sauce, you're going to be with Zarkov.
Oh, exactly. So.
And he was.
Or was.
But yeah. I mean, you know what? He did his thing in this film. He did a good job playing the part that that he was assigned. He did a great job.
Or he didn't have to wear any makeup.
He didn't have. Well, he really didn't.
A la alcohol.
What would happen is he's standing there as the henchman, and then the professor, played by J. Carolyn Nash, would give him a shot, and then he would mess up his hair and rub his face and grunt, and then he would go out and grab an axe, if I'm not mistaken, and he would,
kind of
abduct and kill people or whatever.
Except the abduction.
Well, except for that, yes, all of
but
that.
The rubbing
everything else is pretty much the same. That's actually a photo of me I put in there just as a trick.
And then what
that's
about
a morning
this?
shot. And that's an evening shot.
Oh my gosh, look at that woman's boobs.
Oh, yes, Regina Carroll, hanging out here with the...
Literally.
With the Frankenstein monster.
Oh my lord.
Another thing.
Tom Stockman would love that.
Right.
Well, she had to...
Shout out to Tom Stockman, everyone.
Hey, Tom.
We are movie geeks.
Well, she had to accommodate for how ugly his face was.
Sorry, Tom.
She had to have a real nice pair, you know.
You know, it's all
yeah. Or she doesn't have a nice pair and she just hoofed them all up there where it looks like
They still...
She hoofed them, maybe.
They're still to look nicer than his face, because his face is pretty...
Well, that's one thing I was going to say.
I think he's looking at
about
them.
this film.
You just can't tell. His eyes are all...
Yeah.
Well, she's like, look at my face. Not.
And he's like, yeah, I am. It's just a mask. It looks like I'm not.
She's like, love me for my mind.
No, I actually saw an interview with the director, and he said that he kept getting on the makeup guy about getting this mask completed because they were ready for it. They needed to shoot.
A mask?
They needed to shoot.
Is this Lon Chaney Jr. too?
No. No, it's not. And actually, two different people played this part.
This is Cameron Boyd Gray.
If the thing is, if you go back and listen to an older episode of the Paid and Green Peppers, a movie review podcast, we actually review this film, and we give a lot more facts and information about it. It's just a great film. But his face, that always amazed me. He looks nothing like any Frankenstein monster I've ever seen because his face just looks like clay or Play-Doh just mushed together, and then he's got this riveted band across his forehead, which I kind of like. And then we've got Zandor Vorkov here, who is still alive, by the way. I don't know about
if you care.
Who plays Dracula in the film. He is still alive.
He's immortal, right?
Well, that makes sense, doesn't it? He's immortal. Of course he's still alive. Why would I even say that? But no, he doesn't look much different. He still has the head of hair. It's gray now. But what I found interesting about the part is earlier on in the picture, as we can see in the top photo here, he's got the goatee and everything. He looks fine, but about halfway through the picture...
Why does he look like a clown?
I don't know. I don't know if they switched makeup artists or what. Because this scene here is actually when he's about to die.
He looks like he's a member of Kiss.
He does, because...
Kind of.
Yeah, but he didn't look... This isn't only because he's about to die due to the sunlight. He looks like this about halfway through the picture. He's got this extra grease paint all over his face, and I don't understand quite why they took the makeup to that extreme, because before he looks pretty respectable, and here he just looks like a goon on Halloween. So I don't understand that, but there again, that's part of the reason I love Dracula versus Frankenstein. So if you guys get a chance, to check out this film.
Movie. I don't think so. You said I saw it, but it was probably from behind my eyes.
I don't know. It's a pretty terrible
She probably heard it more than saw it, is what she said.
Honestly, though, maybe the way he looks like that, because, that's how he really looks. Like, he had this whole facade of, being real, handsome.
And he uses his magic, if you will.
And then they're like, oh, it's his monster face.
He really looks like John Wayne Gacy.
Well, he doesn't look like John Wayne Gacy. If John Wayne Gacy lost, 300 pounds.
Well, I mean...
And then also the Frankenstein, it is a horrible mask. It looks kind of like Gary Busey as the Ginger Dead Man.
Oh, you know what? You're kind of right. Yeah.
Which is
I see that. But you know who he
Kinda
also
stupid.
looks like? Remember in the 80s had those onion head babies? Like they were made out of
like a pantyhose or something.
Yes,
Yeah.
he looks like a pantyhose baby.
He kind of looks like a pantyhose baby.
Will you put your arm up behind him there?
No,
like
you know,
that?
because that's not.
I don't know who his
creepy, but I
mother
remember
was.
those.
Maybe he was a pantyhose baby.
Maybe he was. Maybe he was.
Who was we watching? Thought they had those things that they thought they were a butthole baby until they were like.
Oh, that was on the trailer for the new, with John Cena. Well,
Yeah, the Peacemaker.
the Peacemaker trailer. Coming soon to television.
I love
but yeah,
that.
I can recommend that. I can't recommend this.
The Peacemaker.
I love that. That was so funny. Okay, my
So
turn.
anyway, if you want to watch a great movie for Halloween, don't judge it, absorb it. Suck it in like a sponge, enjoy this film, get a bucket of candy corn, and go to town.
No.
I'm going to close on
I
that.
love candy corn. But
Candy corn rocks. Come on.
My turn.
All right. So what's next on your list?
My
of, your
second
top
pick is House of a Thousand Corpses.
5? That is a great film.
I remember we saw this film on your birthday.
It was, yeah.
And we were at was it the Varsity in Carbondale?
It was, which
the
is
one
no
on
longer,
the strip.
no longer a theater.
Now
No
it's-
longer a movie theater.
Yeah, now it's like
Is it for dancing or something?
no.
Or
It's
school?
like
arts. I don't know. It's something.
it's theater.
Theater. That's
Yeah.
yes.
Stage plays.
Stage plays.
That's
The
okay.
Stage Company.
The stage.
That's who.
Okay,
That's
there we
where.
go.
I think that's what's there now.
Yeah.
But I remember this movie. It was a little creepy. One reason I chose this movie is because, except for the whole Dr. Satan thing underground at the end, whatever, it was just, I find hillbillies very scary. Sorry if you're a hillbilly.
But the films depict hillbillies and it's
But
utterly horrifying.
They
I
are
agree with
scary. And he cooks fried chicken. I like that. I like
that. That's enticing, fried chicken.
And then they had the serial killer
Museum.
Yeah, and they had to get on the ride,
Which
And
I would
see
never
Rainn
do in a
Wilson
million
is here,
years.
And I didn't even know that was him, and that's
Oh, Rainn Wilson, yeah.
and that's like in the pictures, like that baby doll, whatever.
Yeah.
Rob Zombie's woman.
Sherry Moon.
Sherry Moon. Yeah, but I don't know. Now because of this film and its what is it? Its predecessor, I guess. What was it?
The sequel.
Yeah, the sequel.
The sequel.
What was it
The
called?
Devil's Rejects.
Devil's Rejects. Yeah.
And then it's
That's
actually
right, we
it's
couldn't-
actually a trilogy because the newest one, Three from Hell, came out,
Right.
and it's honestly kind of a piece of trash. I
Oh,
watched
that
it.
was before he died. Sid Haig.
Yeah, he was looking real weak.
Oh.
I mean, good on him for being in the movie.
Maybe that's why he passed away. Nothing against Sid Haig.
But it was
But the film just...
it was just really weak
it
in comparison to all the other ones.
Well,
I can't
because
really
of this film and the Devil's Rejects, if you're laying in the middle of the road, I probably will go around you or run you over.
Right.
Because
Well, she wouldn't run you over, but she would go around you and
okay,
call.
I
maybe
would
call
stop and I
911.
would call 911. I mean, if you had some blood, I don't know though.
Don't.
You can fake that. So
Listen.
you can fake that, really.
Yeah.
I, as your husband, say go around them, drive a mile or so away, call 911 if you think someone is generally.
And what was the mom, Karen Black?
Karen Black. Yes.
In this one, but then the other one, it was someone else, correct?
Right. They replaced her. I don't know why. Probably, as usual, some sort of contractual issues,
Yeah.
or they couldn't agree on something like that.
But I
don't
kind
know.
of like him. He kind of looks like a 4th of July.
Well, yeah, he's supposed to be very patriotic.
Yeah, right.
Clown, yeah.
No, he did a wonderful
Patriotic
job.
chicken.
Sid
And
Haig
in
is a
my
great actor.
mind is the one scene. I mean, it's kind of where he's with the woman. I don't know. That's just in my.
That
mind.
was from Devil's
You mean the
Rejects.
bedroom?
Was that Devil's Rejects?
That
Oh.
was the
okay.
beginning.
The bedroom
He's like
scene?
talking on the phone.
Yeah, that was the very beginning of Devil's Rejects.
Yeah,
Well, they all
I'm
kinda run
sorry.
together,
They're all
but,
the same to me, but it's a very. I don't know. I find any kind of hillbilly, backwoods, that kind of thing very scary.
I was honestly kind of just surprised they didn't die on the ride in the very beginning, because that seems like they would have just killed him then.
Oh, but the movie would have been over really quickly.
No, I know.
But you get a bunch of horny, what would you call them? Young
youths.
Youths.
And
Yeah,
they'll
that's
do
good,
anything
that's
for
good.
alcohol or sex.
Yeah, pretty much. A lot of them
Yeah.
will, and it's to their undoing, of course.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to say that word.
But I mean,
But-
you're right. It's a great film.
It's scary. I find it very.
It's believable, like except for the Dr. Satan part.
The Dr. Satan thing.
Got all his
underground.
Frankenstein monsters underground in his grave and all that. Kind of stupid.
And he was supposedly the father, right?
Yeah, because he burned up Tiny.
But Sid
Haig, yeah.
Sid Haig is the dad of the
girls.
girl. But then the Dr. Satan was supposedly the father of the boys.
Some of the boys.
Right?
Yeah, it was something weird. I'm with you. The whole Dr. Satan thing.
Because they said he burned up Tiny. One weird one.
In my opinion, was
I remember him.
Because they said the reason he lives underground now, or they thought he was dead. I think the family actually thought he was dead. I think Captain Spaulding and all them thought he was dead.
Oh.
But he is, I don't know, Frankenstein himself back together or whatever. But
like Dr. Freudenstein.
Yeah, but the reason they thought he was dead is because, if I remember correctly, Tiny, the one that was kind of burned up and weird and kind of oafish.
Wasn't he nice though?
I don't think he was necessarily nice. No.
Oh, usually
he was just. I think he was kind of childlike because he was kind of messed up. But I think Dr. Satan supposedly like burned him up in retaliation for something he did, and then the rest of the family turned on him because they didn't like that.
Turned on Dr. Satan.
Yeah, and I think that's why he was dead. Possibly, I don't remember exactly, but I think that.
So when did he change his name to Dr. Satan? Was he really a doctor?
Well, I don't.
Is that on his birth certificate?
I don't.
Dr. Satan.
No, I don't think that's the name on any doctor. if you went to a doctor right now, you're like, "Is that on your birth certificate?" No.
No, I'm just kidding.
think he was Dr. Satan because I don't know if he was a licensed doctor because he did a lot of unethical things. It was one of those. It was probably one of those back alley doctors that will sell your appendix on the street.
Oh, this doctor we used to go to when we were kids. I'm not gonna say his name because
don't do that. Don't do that.
But he's my dad. He was on like Skid Row, and every time we got sick, my dad would be like, "Oh, you need a penicillin shot." We would go see this one doctor on Skid Row. That's not creepy or weird, right?
Did he wear a trench coat?
No, but he was like, and he was all bald. And if you're from Andy, you probably know who it was. But anyway, he was like, and he would mumble. He was a very weird man. But we went there for shots every time. Who knows what he was shooting in us?
Well, you're here to tell the story.
So.
Well, I guess your immune system was enough to get rid of whatever it was.
Right.
Yeah.
It's good on you.
So
young
maybe
and strong.
coffee or, I don't know, a mixture of rat poison and...
It could have been high C. Who knows? You were
It could have
kids. You had no
been.
idea what
I
else
don't
you
know.
knew.
I don't recommend injecting yourself high, so that might actually kill you. But.
Yeah, don't do any of that.
Don't inject yourself with anything.
But I think I don't know what this doctor was doing. But anyway, this is my choice because I really think hillbillies are scary. And that's about it.
Well, they are scary. And Sid Haig and Bill Moseley, they did a great job. Bill Moseley was the Otis, yes, I couldn't think of his name.
Oh, yeah.
Did a great job. He had, of course, appeared in Chainsaw Massacre years before that. And Sid Haig, of course, Spider Baby, some of the Pam Grier stuff back in the day. That's
I did watch that one.
Some of the those types of films. The blaxploitation, and of course his most famous role as the evil Draco on the Saturday morning kids show, Jason of Star Command. All of these great roles, but he's just a fantastic actor.
I heard you talking about that one time. For some reason, I was thinking that was Clancy Brown. You were saying,
same guy. They're both equally grim.
He does similar things.
So check it out if you.
Would you recommend this to a family to watch on Halloween, like with little kids?
No.
I like to throw that out there.
We probably watched it when I was a little kid because.
No, we saw it at the movie theater.
We saw it at the movies.
I'm sorry, I've just seen very similar things.
Right, like The Beyond, So I wouldn't recommend that, or not The Beyond, The House by the Cemetery, or any of those films either. So we're going to try and put that out there.
Or Candyman.
Or Candyman. So actually, most of the things we've talked about so far. We always
try to watch scary movies in October.
We try to do that, yeah.
We probably did it when he was little.
I'm sure we did, and some people
are just all the
trying to do it every night. We're not that diligent. But
I remember the first time you watched Freddy, like Nightmare on Elm Street. You were at Aaron's house and you were like, "I watched Freddy," and you didn't sleep for 3 days.
Well, Freddy's a little,
because he comes in your nightmares.
Right. So why would you want to go to sleep?
Much like hillbillies.
Much like hillbillies.
Well, it depends on
People
where you
say
live,
the
I guess.
cities are scary. I'm scared of the country, to be honest.
Me too. Like when we did.
I don't want to
that
get out on some
river-
dark road in the middle of nowhere.
When we did River Road,
Give me some
and
concrete
it
and
said
a building.
like
I'm good.
Gillespie 100. Sorry if you live in Gillespie. Sorry.
Nothing against that.
100
Yeah.
people or some town. No. Or the one town. Oh, I'm not gonna say what it is, but it is. Scary.
We don't want to. Yeah.
I think it belongs to the devil. That is a scary town.
Well, so
Well,
whatever town you think that might be,
Yeah.
just stay away.
Well, I mean, that stuff
Yeah.
does happen. I heard a story online that there was a gentleman riding his motorcycle across country, and he got to the end of this road, and I guess it ended in a town. It was a dead end.
Wow, that's weird.
And it was a town of like probably 80 or 100 people. And then he said he got to the end of the road, and there was nobody outside. And then he started turning around, and as he was driving out of town, everybody was just standing on their porches just looking at him.
Yes, like that town I'm talking about
Oh wow, that's creepy.
from The Omen.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
I guess
It's not
it's kind
from
of-
The Omen, but
Yeah, it's probably something with Ville at the end.
Yeah.
It's kinda
we
like,
won't, we won't name it.
It's like a real version of
But,
like that 10,000 Maniacs or whatever.
I think this town
oh
is
yeah,
from
yeah,
there.
yeah.
So
You mean the remake with with John,
So-
Robert Englund?
no
that one-
Hillary.
well, just in general, like the idea of it. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like you
right.
go and they're like
2000 Maniacs. right?
you wander into the town and then they're all just on the same accord.
Right.
For
killing
real.
you.
Creepy. So
Yeah.
House of a Thousand Corpses. All right, check it out.
Check it out.
Or if you have
Not
little
with
kids,
your children.
please don't.
Yeah.
All right.
Alrighty, now we're going to look at another one of my top films. We're looking at 1408, which is one I really like with John Cusack and Samuel L. Jackson. From the movie poster, you think that Samuel L. Jackson's like a main character. He's, I guess, one of the few characters they show, but I mean, he's the hotel manager, clerk, something like that.
Oh.
Because essentially the movie is John Cusack is like a ghostwriter. Not like a ghostwriter in the sense that you write for somebody else to get paid for it.
Right, he wrote about ghosts.
But yeah, he wrote about different haunted places, but he was like a skeptic.
Mm.
So he wrote all these books like, oh, The Haunting in Maryland and all this stuff. People are like, oh, it's so scary. And he's like, yeah, none of that's real. So he went to this place because it was supposedly like, really haunted. So he went to go stay in room 1408. And of course people were like, oh, don't do that.
Because that was the haunted room, correct?
Yeah, and it was on floor 13, I think. But
Of course it was.
But they didn't have 13. They skipped to like 14 or whatever because it's
Right.
bad luck. So he stayed
like
in the
hospitals and
Yeah.
stuff. They always do that.
Very weird, but-
I don't know if they do anymore, but I
They
think at
used
once
to,
upon a
yeah.
time they did.
But
It's
anyways,
ludicrous, but,
he
yeah.
stays in the room and he's trying to write his new book or whatever, and essentially just weird things start happening and he sees things and just all this craziness.
Doesn't it get really cold?
Yeah, at one point he
Yeah.
starts freezing and like I assume he's
Yeah.
like imagining most of these things, but he like hears a lady over a room.
Oh, there he is in that picture.
Oh,
He's
yes,
got
yes.
eyes on it.
Yeah, and in the photo there, the room's trying to convince him to kill himself because I believe that the room's mortality rate has been pretty high. That's what they
He's
say.
got a pretty good track record.
Yeah, so they try to kill him, and we come to find out that the reason this is because the room is alive, and it's trying to kill the people within it. So he, actually, you know what? I think his wife may have died too.
Sounds like my parents' house.
I think John Cusack's wife may have died, and that's kind of why he's kind of
Into the
off.
whole ghost thing or whatever.
Yeah, to a degree, because he wants to see something.
Oh.
He's never seen
I
something,
see.
but he wants to, and the room's
Okay.
kind of trying to trick him, like with his wife too, I believe, into killing himself. And
Well, oftentimes that's what rooms will
They're-
do. It's an agenda they often have.
and,
So I can
and
see
there's
that
and
as
there's
a
one
big
scene
plus.
that's pretty creepy too when he
like when they
is
get
trying to
dirty and have to
escape the
clean them. I
room.
hate
Oh,
that.
yeah.
There's one creepy scene where he's trying to escape the room and he actually gets in the vents to like climb into the next room over, and there's this
Mhm.
weird like corpse kind of monster thing in the vent that like disintegrates into dust and everything. It's very weird. And
Why 1408? Does it ever say, like, why is that the number? And why, if it's on the 13th floor, why is it 1408?
I don't. Well, yeah, because it's 14 because they skipped 13.
Oh, but it's really the 13th floor. I
Yeah.
got you.
Well,
I got you.
ironically, if you add 1408, you come up with 13.
You do.
See what I did there?
Very tricky.
Yes,
Very
indeed.
mathematician.
Yes,
But,
yes, my claim to fame.
But anyways,
Mathematician.
despite the room's best efforts, John Cusack does not kill himself. he actually survived. Actually, I think there's a couple endings to this movie. I think I've seen them both. I think
Oh, really?
I think there might. I don't know for certain. There might be one where he kills himself and just.
I think I actually stayed awake for this.
Just
one.
He did, yeah. And he goes to the afterlife or whatever. There might be one like that. But then the version that I remember seeing, he starts a fire in the room.
I remember that.
Yeah.
And because he can't interact with anybody on the outside because the room's preventing him from calling anybody or anything like that.
So he does it to try to get help. Right?
Yeah, but the firemen do actually see the flames from the window, so they come in and break the door down and get him out. Because there was a point in the movie where he left the door open, but the room closes it on him, and of course he can't get out and everything. But they bust the door down and actually save him because of the fire. And that's how he escapes. Oh. And in that particular version of the movie's ending,
smart.
He's aware of ghosts and everything, and I think he kind of turns his life around a little bit.
Okay.
But I do think there's an alternative ending where he does die.
Wow. Well, that's interesting. I remember watching this film, and I liked it. I'm sure I've probably seen it more than once as well. I didn't remember all that because when did it come out? It came out in
2007.
2007, which is
like what, 10 years old?
It's been a while.
Well, I don't think I saw it when it came out.
Oh no, I didn't either.
But I have seen
it on television or on video.
We watched it at our old house or at our apartment in Fairview.
But I have seen the movie a couple times since, and it's enjoyable. The description really doesn't do it a lot of justice because there's a lot of really cool visuals and things like that in the film that really kind of make it interesting.
Well,
and
a lot of this
based
was
on
done
a story by Stephen King, too.
Yeah, right, which, hey, there you go, what are you going to do, Stephen King? It's got to be pretty good.
Pretty much everything's influenced by King, or he's done it before, or whatever.
And most of it's done with practical effects, if I remember correctly. I mean, there's not a lot of computer stuff, is there?
No, it's a lot of CGI.
Really? Early CGI.
I don't know what you're remembering, but...
Well, I don't remember...
How are they doing a snowstorm in the room with practical effects?
Spray snow. You decorate the tree
with flour on him.
Okay, well, maybe I was wrong about that. Like, it's been a while since I saw this film. I just remember it being good, and John Cusack and Samuel L. Jackson are both, of course, phenomenal actors.
Yeah, and John Cusack really like those, thriller movies or whatever like this, and Identity.
Ironically,
another one.
That's not one
that.
That's not one that made it on the list, but I do like Identity as well. It's kind of a cool,
I mean, he's kind of come a long way from
thriller,
holding up the radio.
Yeah, but it's very versatile.
What was the one he was in, like Better Off Dead?
I love that movie, Better Off Dead.
Where they eat the green slimy, is it the mom cooks bad?
Oh yeah, and it's like this goop or something.
Yeah. We watched that one year at my cousin's
That is a phenomenal film as well.
But I would recommend Identity too, though. That's another good one, kind of a psychological thriller if you like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that was good. Now, there is one too where they go to like a hotel. I don't know. Is John Cusack in that one too, where it's like a, one of those. They're like making a movie where they actually kill people.
No, that's not John Cusack.
Oh, aren't they? They have hidden cameras in the room. What is that film? I remember
Rent or something.
No, I
think Vacant. Vacant. Is it Vacant?
Rent something different. Vacancy, maybe.
No, that's Vacancy. Maybe it is Vacancy.
I don't remember.
What's the one with the other guy where he's on the radio and it's like like a ham radio? That's not Vacancy. That's something else.
Well, that's Frequency.
Frequency. That is Vacancy.
With Jim Caviezel.
Yeah, the one we're talking
Dennis
about.
Quaid,
the one we're talking about is Vacancy.
I think it's Vacancy. I don't remember who was in it. It was not John Cusack, though, right? Mm-hmm. It was someone else that was a good actor. Because I remember that film was quite good as well.
It was they're like making a snuff film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it makes you want to, travel the highways and byways of America.
Oh, speaking of which, I had heard on the radio recently that they were talking about crappy, cheap motels off the side of the road and how they're creepy and gross.
Yeah.
And they were like talking about how there's merit to that because there was apparently a lady who stayed in a creepy motel in, it was one of those like southwestern states, I want to say. Yeah. But anyway, she saw like a little bit of carpet that was sticking up in the room, and she was like, okay, I'm going to investigate this. And she pulled up the carpet, and there was a trap door, and then there was like a crawl space it was like a larger crawl space.
Like somebody coming up
like under the bed.
There?
No, I don't think it connected to anything, but it was like if somebody wanted to hide in there and then kill you in your sleep, they could do it.
Oh my god.
Kind of like that episode of that one, what was the show where the guy would hide under the bed for hours and...
Oh, the Slither guy.
He had that shiny leather.
Are you
suit
talking?
on,
Wasn't that like Law and Order?
Squeak or Squick?
Yeah.
It might have been Law and Order. Yeah.
It was one of those.
No, they never.
He was very limber. He had like that.
Yeah,
bodysuit
it was
on.
like Law and Order.
He wore like a sex suit.
Yeah, it was a bondage.
And he would even
Yeah.
didn't he even have like a catheter so he could urinate while he was
Maybe.
in bed. Is that too much?
But he had to
it was
give
on television.
It was either CSI or Law and Order, one of those shows. And the guy, they called him Squeakle.
Squeakle.
The reason that was is because he killed this lady and her little kid was in the car and he didn't notice and like the sound that the car wash was making.
Oh, maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, well, one of those things, and they called him Squeakle. And he also had heterochromia, so his eyes were two different colors.
Oh, right.
So it made him weirder.
Oh,
that's
like
a good episode to talk about
Australian
for Halloween
Shepherd.
as well. Yeah. So anyway, 1408, recommend for family affair. You know, get the children.
It's not extremely graphic. Like, I would say, as long as they're not like little kids, they're gonna have nightmares. I'd say if your kid's like 11, something like that, it'd be all right.
And since Samuel L. Jackson's not a main character, there's not as much cursing.
Yeah,
there's normal fare, right?
Not as much MFers and stuff.
Well, that's good. So that's a plus. So there you go.
No Royals with cheese.
No Royal, yeah. Okay. Although that sounds quite good right now.
Yeah.
All right, next on my list of the top 5 horror movies I would recommend for the Hollywood season, the Halloween season.
That's kind of right.
It's kind of right. The Ghost Galleon. It's one of the Blind Dead films, if you guys are familiar with the Blind Dead series.
Ironically, this isn't a Hollywood film, so I guess that kind of doesn't work.
Well, I guess that's true.
Yeah, it took place in, this is like an Italian movie or Spanish or something, isn't it?
It's Spain, yeah.
Yeah, so Hollywood's not in Spain, so that's not really a Hollywood movie.
I guess that's
There
true. No, it's
might
definitely
be a place called Hollywood.
definitely
Spain.
not a.
It's probably a bad name.
There's a
Spain?
Hollywood Heights outside of Fairview.
Well, it could be Hollywood, Spain then.
If there is
Who's
a
to
Hollywood,
say?
if there is a Hollywood Spain, it's probably a bad neighborhood.
Right.
A lot of shooting.
But it was directed by the great Armando de Osorio, and Ghost Galleon. It's what can I say? It's a Blind Dead film. Except the cool thing I really like about this film, and I love all these movies, is it takes place on the open sea.
Oh, this is the one in the ship.
Yeah. So imagine you're on a ship out in the middle of the sea,
It's the galleon.
basically trapped on the sea because these guys come out from below the decks. They don't know they're on there. They awaken from their slumber to slowly torture and kill the crew. You know.
Do they awaken like every so often, or?
There again, been a while since I saw
Like
it, and a lot of these plots run together. You know, I'm just here to tell you what I recommend.
I'm not gonna lie, I would say this is less scary than like the other Blind Dead films, like Night of the Seagulls, and the other one I don't remember.
Well, there's the first one, Tomb of the Blind Dead, and then the second one, Return of the Blind Dead, or Return of the Evil Dead, depending on what title you're
And these are
watching
the guys
it.
that wear like the black hoods.
Yeah,
The Templar Knights.
they're not black. They wear like white. They're all white, I think.
Well, and originally they were white, and they had like the Templar logo or whatever that emblazoned on them. But yeah, they're so old and dirty at this point. They just
it's black.
they're
But I would
very
say
dark
this
and
is-
dingy and dirty and.
But I would say this is less scary because if they're all like contained on a boat, whereas the other movies take place like on land, where it's like, oh, well, they can just travel and kill more people. If they're on a ship, they're kind of like whatever, as long as they don't dock.
Well, yeah, but what would be the most scary is that
If you're on the ship,
that's what I mean as someone traveling on the ship.
Yeah.
And I don't remember why they're on the ship. They're obviously going somewhere. I don't remember.
Is that what happened to
if
the
it's like
Titanic?
Well,
No.
the Templars got them?
I
Yeah.
don't think so.
I don't think that's
But they
what
just
happened.
didn't tell, like it's one of those cover-ups. Like,
They just blamed it
like
on
going
the
to
environment?
to
Is that
the
what you're
moon and
Oh, one of the
Yeah.
conspiracy theory here, folks.
I will say,
they just cover it up.
I will say, I think one of my favorite
Like
scenes.
JFK or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they did.
How did we get on this topic?
He, Elvis, and
Conspiracy
the
theory.
one guy, the karate guy, what's his name? Bruce Lee. They all live on some.
Yeah. Legends
And
Island,
the
we'll call it.
Galapagos.
We'll call it Legends
No,
Island.
but my favorite scene from one of those movies, I don't remember which one it is.
And Tupac.
But
Tupac, yes.
But it's where they kill the girl and then like a frog randomly hops through her blood.
Oh, I remember that. I don't remember
Why?
which one it's
I don't
in.
know. That's
Is
why.
it a real frog?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a real frog, yeah.
That's why I like it so much. 'Cause it's such a weird scene.
I can't remember which one that's in. Like I said, I like all of them. They're all fantastic. And what I really
It's
like...
called the Kermit Chronicles.
No.
Is that well, I remember the frog had a little Templar robe on, right?
Oh, so well, actually,
No, I don't think he did.
is it? I forget. In some of the movies, don't they turn people into zombies, and then other ones they don't?
I don't
So
remember.
why are they
It's
killing
possible,
people?
but I don't remember.
Just
I think they're
'cause
just
for
killing
fun?
people because they're evil, right?
Well, they're just like cursed zombie things.
Yeah, because they were destroyed for committing crimes, evil crimes back in the day.
So they're from Australia.
What? No, I don't think
Remember,
that.
Australia is where like they put all the criminals.
Oh,
Yeah, you do understand.
Not now.
You do understand that.
Don't get me wrong. Sorry, you're not.
nothing against
I'm
Australia.
pretty sure the Templars in Australia as a prison colony did not jive as far as time.
Oh.
Nah, the time thing is.
Those are the
completely-
Crusades.
Yeah,
and
they're
then-
not criminals now.
I don't
They
think
have-
Australia was a prison colony during the Crusades. I don't think
Yeah,
so.
now they have the church. What's the church?
Hillsong, yeah.
So yeah, they're not. They're
Is that in
no longer
Australia or New
criminals.
Zealand?
I think it's
Australia.
Australia, but a lot of them are from New Zealand. This
Okay.
But anyway, back to Ghost Galleon, right? For Halloween. What I like about this poster here, check this out.
I like the blue.
It reads, besides the colors popping, it says, "It seemed like a nightmare, but 5 human beings with selfish passions are forced to accept the horrible reality of the Ghost Galleon." I love that. And you know what else I like about Blind Dad films? Is when you see them sort of entering the scene, it's always
Selfish
slow motion, and you've got that weird humming like that.
Because they're dead.
The Gregorian chant.
That's kind of like that weird monk, chant
The
thing
most
going on.
horrifying.
Yeah, it's
But they're
Gregorian
always,
chant, that's what it's called.
and they're always slow motion. Even when they're riding horses on the land, it's real slow and creepy, like when they're chasing people, and it's just weird, creepy. I absolutely love it. So it's got Jack Taylor in it. I didn't mention that.
Who's that?
Nobody knows.
Oh no,
It
he was
has
in the Paul
Carlos-
Naschy film Dr. Jekyll
Carlos
versus the
Limos.
Wolfman, and I mean just a ton of stuff. I could look it up, but he's been in all kinds of stuff. And,
Blanca Estrada, is she married to Eric?
who's to
Of the
say?
Chips fame.
But it's got Maria Pershey and Jack Taylor and
I
Barbara
don't
Ray,
know who
Carlos
any of
Limos.
those people
These
are.
are that's because this is.
I
this
feel
is
like Janet
Spanish
Taylor's
film.
probably not his real name, but okay.
Oh, I'm sure it's quite not
It
because
says
this is.
violence, blind fear, terror, and brutality.
Well, it is R-rated, yeah.
Oh.
Well, these guys don't handle their victims with kid gloves. There's a lot. I shouldn't say a lot of
Do
blood
they eat them?
for that time.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Oh,
Do
they eat them?
I remember them stabbing them and
They're
things of
bad,
that
too.
nature, but
Well, I think
Ooh, look, they got buck teeth.
Well,
I think it kind of depends on the movie
Yeah,
because, like I said, I think in the one with the frog,
Mhm.
they bite the lady and she turns into like a zombie.
I think you're right.
I think depending on the film, some films they just murder people, other ones they eat them. Sometimes they turn other people into ghouls, other times they don't. Like I think
That's true.
I don't feel like there's like a canon to this. It's just kind of like whatever they felt like doing in the film.
I guess that's
Oh.
true, but I would highly recommend watching all of these Blind Dad films. But this one, being trapped on the water, nowhere to run, you can jump overboard, I guess, but you're in the middle of the dark
Water
sea.
everywhere and not a drop to drink.
Yeah, exactly. So
Where's-
I would highly
Where's
recommend
the
this.
Coast Guard when you need them?
Right. And go back, take that slide back one more time. Or maybe, was there another one? Go back one more.
Okay.
Horror of the Zombies. If you guys come across that title, same film. I just wanted to let you know.
The
That's
Young
a
and
U.S.
Beautiful.
title. Yeah, it's
Existing on the flesh of the young and beautiful.
right.
Oh, they only eat young and beautiful people.
That's misleading because that's really not true.
Say.
Yeah, that's true, and it's not like they get rejuvenated from the flesh. It really doesn't matter.
Obviously not. Look at these people. So anyway, Ghost Galleon or Horror of the Zombies. Any Blind Dad film, really. Check them out. You will not be disappointed.
You might be disappointed.
I don't know.
Yeah.
If you like subtitles, you'll be alright. If you don't do subtitles, it might be a problem.
I don't do
Watch the
subtitles.
English language version. They're dubbed, but who cares?
It's
They're
all
still
grunting.
creepy.
That's
Still
any
creepy.
language.
Yeah, it's all good.
Okay. The next one is The Orphan. I chose this one. Actually, I just watched a little bit of this on Tubi. You came home?
That was a
from
few
work?
days ago, actually. 2009 was when The Orphan was made.
2009. The thing I find really scary about this is,
What's that?
I don't know, this family goes and they want to do a good thing and they adopt this young girl, and she's
Right.
like drawing a picture, and they're like, oh, you're doing such a beautiful job, you know, because she's so, but come to find out she's like this old lady in a little body, and she's a mass murdering, killing machine. I don't know, that just...
She's not like Terminator.
She's crazy. Okay, she's crazy.
She is crazy.
She's like
We'll give her that.
she's like a nymphomaniac in a child's body because she's like hot after the dads all the time, and she wants to like kill the kids and the wives and all this. And
Well,
It's yeah.
yeah, I don't know, but still scary because it's like you get this package, right, and you're thinking it's something really awesome, and then it kills you. You know, kind of like anthrax in the mail.
I've never thought having to deal with kids for an extended period of time.
Kind of like
is a good
anthrax
thing.
in the mail.
Yeah,
A nice
like,
surprise
Like
until
you're
it's not.
like, oh, I got this really awesome thing, and then this white powder comes out, and you're dead.
I'm never checking the mail again.
Yeah, so don't send anthrax.
It's okay.
That's a bad thing.
None of us are important enough to receive that. So.
Anthrax, so you have to be like a government official.
Yeah, you are.
Now this film stars Vera
You gotta be
Farmiga,
someone
right?
cool.
Or Farmiga, I don't know how to pronounce that.
Is that the little
Who-
girl?
No, I mean the mom
The
actually.
mom.
Who was in the the Conjuring films. She plays.
Oh, she
yeah.
plays the lady.
the lady, yeah.
Lorraine
right.
Warren.
Yeah.
So this was of course before those, but
Yeah.
yeah. So
And they have a child already, like a boy.
I don't remember. It's been a while
I
since
think
you
they-
saw it the other day.
Yeah.
It's been a while
Yeah,
since I
they
watched
do.
it.
They have a son.
Yeah, and then they want to adopt a child, so they go to this
Because
like,
I think she's like infertile now, or has some sort of problem conceiving after the son.
and they go to this like school adoption orphanage thing, and all these kids are outside, but they're inside, and this girl's inside playing. And I think somebody had sent her back before, or they said she came back and they hadn't heard from the family.
So they were probably dead.
Because apparently she probably killed the
Gee, I wonder what happened.
Yeah.
She killed the whole family, and then when the father was like, "I'm not into kids,"
It's
sorry.
kind of
she's
like it's kind of like The Good Son. I think about that, like Macaulay Culkin and The Good Son.
Yeah, oh
and
yeah.
Elijah Wood, remember?
Yeah.
And he like throws him off the cliff.
The cliff, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I always think about these things, but
Well, whenever you have a small child, and this was portrayed by a small child, playing an older person pretending to be a small child.
yeah.
Essentially is what we're looking at here. It's creepy, though.
And she's from Romania.
And she was a good actress. She was a
Yeah.
very good actress. And,
But yeah,
I
it's
don't
just I don't know. I just like I said, it's like anthrax in the mail.
Oh, and you know Romania.
It is
that's-
like that.
Like,
Romania is
yeah.
only known for killer children and vampires, right? So she was probably one of those.
Yeah, something like that. But the thing is, that's what I think. It's that kind of bait and switch thing that gets me.
I would agree with that.
That's
Yeah.
kind of scary. You know, you think you're doing a great thing, and what do they say? No good deed goes
Unpunished.
and that is not true.
That's
but,
not true. Do good deeds all day long if you can. It's great. It's a
But
great
yeah.
thing.
But I'm just saying, they think they're doing this, and then she ends up being a crazo, and that's crazy people and
Hillbillies.
hillbillies.
I knew you were going to say it. Yep.
Are scary. The thing is, I find enough supernatural stuff. I don't find it as scary as like hillbillies.
Oh, no. Not even. No.
And crazies.
Because that's real stuff. That could really, like you said, that could really happen.
Well,
People can really.
supernatural stuff can happen.
Well, it can, but I'm not scared of it.
Not that can.
I'm scared of somebody walking out of a
But not like
cornfield with
that
a
degree.
with a knife or a
Right.
shotgun, and that's more scary to me than
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
demonic spirits. It's just I don't worry about
like
that.
Dr. Loomis goes, I shot him 6 times. Or whatever.
Dr. Loomis.
See, like I hate that. Like Jason or whatever, you could kill him and they keep coming back. That is not. That's
Well, the thing of it is, how about you, if you're going to kill these guys, dismember them, cut off their head, cut their body into about 100 pieces, put them in a sack,
yeah,
drop
but
them
you
in the
have to kill
ocean.
them 50 times. Their victim gets hit once and they're dead.
Oh, I know,
But,
I know.
but in
That's the typical trope, but
in the grand theme of horror movies, they don't do that. What they do is they'll hit them once and run away. They don't make sure that the job's
No, you're right. You're right about that.
Yeah, because they're scared.
They're like, oh no! It's like,
Usually- 'cause
I hit him with
usually
a rock
running-
once. He's obviously not going to
They're
bother
usually
me.
Why don't
running out of the shower from the back seat of the
they're-
car.
Well, still, they're like, oh, I hit him in the head once.
Making
let
Jimmy
me
Pop
let
or
me stop
something.
here for a break after about 5 feet.
Right.
away.
Yeah.
Okay. It never makes sense, but you know.
But I just think it's scary, that whole bait and switch thing. I think that, you think you're getting one thing and then you get something else.
Yeah, it's
and
creepy.
Like anthrax in the mail. I don't know.
You don't know what's inside the package until it comes out of the package.
Yeah, you think you're getting money.
I think I put that rather eloquently. Yeah.
Not really, but okay.
It's like those cans of peanuts. You open them and the fake rattlesnake jumps out at you.
Oh, yeah.
You think you're in for a salty, delicious treat.
Unless you're allergic to peanuts.
Or you got a
then you're like, oh,
or you got a heart condition. Yeah, right. Yeah, that could be a problem.
Well, though you didn't look at all like a real snake, and if you get one of those, you're like, somebody did such a good deed. They're giving me some peanuts. Like, if you're that much of a fool, you kind of deserve it.
So,
kids these days don't like practical jokes like that anymore.
I think the Orphan...
I know, that era's gone.
They're like
sad,
Fortnite.
really.
The Orphan is probably,
Fortnite.
what is it? Is rated R.
I'm sure.
Oh, I'm quite sure of it, yes.
So, or NC-17 or one of those. I doubt it's like that. But I wouldn't watch it with little kids because it's kind of scary.
It'd be a little traumatic, I think.
Why is she trying to like hump up on the dad?
Yeah. Don't watch this with your kids either. I think it's safe to say that most of the films we're talking about tonight
Aren't for kids.
are probably not kid friendly.
Like most Halloween movies.
They're not the worst thing out there, but you know.
But it's fun. It's a good movie. You'll be able to find it free on Tubi. You can watch it free on
You can
Tubi.
watch a lot of good stuff on Tubi. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So it's
Roku, baby.
I think it's a good Halloween pick.
I agree with
So
that. High five.
high five.
Good choice.
It's kind of a thriller and a scary movie.
What do you think of that, Iggy? Is that a good movie?
Bait and switch. Oh.
Iggy says yes. Oh,
Iggy says I'm horrified.
So The Orphan. Check it out.
Yes.
Check it out.
All right, next we'll be discussing another one of my picks. This movie is The Beyond.
Yes.
By Lucille Fulci.
Oh. There we go.
Yes. I love
And
that.
I love this movie posters. It's very cool artwork. The one on the left, the one on the right is kind of whatever. But
it's more comic bookish, isn't it? The one on the
yeah,
right.
it looks like some bad Atari video game that they would bury in the desert.
Like, look at the gentleman on the bottom there, like crawling up from the rubble.
It looks like.
And the one dude's like looking straight up her skirt, which is kind
It
of.
looks like a cheap movie cover. Is what it looks.
And his eyes are very large. You must like what he sees.
Or a cheap
Oh.
book cover. Is what it looks like.
But anyways, this is The Beyond by Lucille Fulci. And it's actually in the spiritual trilogy, the Gates of Hell trilogy, along with the movie we talked about previously, House by the Cemetery, along with City of the Living Dead.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
City of the Living Dead is probably the weakest, but The Beyond is a very good movie.
I would agree with that. I would agree.
The Beyond, actually, if you've seen City of the Living Dead, is kind of like a better rehash of a similar situation. And essentially, if you haven't seen that, what happens in The Beyond is this lady inherits this hotel in Louisiana. I think it's supposed to be in Louisiana.
That's always Louisiana.
It is. It's Louisiana. That's right.
And she gets it. Of course, it's this scary bayou hotel and all this stuff, and weird things are happening. And we get kind of a flashback where this gentleman's being accused of witchcraft, and of course, there's like it's a black and white sequence, I believe. With the mob justice where they're tacking him up in the basement of the place and throwing wax in his face.
It's a great way to start a film, though.
Yeah, so he's I guess he's just been down there since, I forget the year he died, it says in the film, but...
That's him right there on the poster there.
All right, but anyways, she inherits the hotel, and of course everybody's like, oh, that place is cursed, don't open that, blah, blah, blah. But she's... working on refurbishing it, and she's doing a lot of stuff herself, and of course people see ghosts and start to die. And then there's this, a blind lady who lives in the area who is also obviously somewhat spiritually sensitive because she goes over and tells her about the stuff and her, not to open the hotel and everything like that. And eventually the blind lady ends up being killed by some kind of dog or something.
It is, yeah. It's a dog.
But it's, of course, coaxed on by the ghost or the zombie or whatever of
right.
this warlock.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyways, this happens and they continue reopening the hotel. And more people start to die. And eventually it kind of reaches its peak when, I guess, one of the gates of hell, and I believe they say there's 7,
mm-hmm.
and it starts to open up under the hotel where the warlock had died. I guess his death kind of cemented the opening of it. I'm not exactly...
As it often does.
I'm not exactly sure why it opened just then after they reopened the hotel and not like when they killed the warlock, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, at a certain point, zombies start getting up, and the whole town is overrun, and it's basically just like, oh, you know, there's no getting away from this. And the lady who runs the hotel, and this gentleman, I can't remember if he's a reporter or something like that,
I think he might be, but I can't remember either.
Is this Italian?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or he's either that or just some guy that lives in the town or something. I can't remember exactly. Or maybe even like a police, somehow associated with police. I don't really remember. But anyways, they're trying to get away from the zombies. And towards the end of the film, they actually run through the gates of hell to escape the zombie apocalypse, which I don't know if it's going to be much better. But then they, in literal
I guess
hell,
not, yeah.
But then they show the scenery, which is really interesting. It's a lot of like fog and everything, and what appears to be corpses on the ground and things like that. And both the lady and the guy, as you can see here in the bottom, go blind from walking in, which I guess that's just what happens when you go through the gates of hell. You just turn blind. But what I always found,
might be for the best. I don't know.
But what I always found really fascinating about this is the manner in which they.
That's why the only thing they know is it's hot because those senses are much more.
Well, I don't think it's hot. Like the way they show it, it's just like this weird kind of
like a wasteland, almost, right?
Depressing wasteland. But what I always found interesting was that in the way that they're blinded is in the same way that the lady from before was blinded, who is killed by the warlock, as you can see in the top here. Mm-hmm. But I found that interesting because that kind of alludes to possibly did this lady come through the gates of hell at some point or had some sort of association?
Oh, the first blind lady.
Yeah, because her eyes are that same kind of like look like she had gazed into the abyss of hell or whatever before. They never really get into that, but I actually wrote a paper in one of my college classes kind of talking about this, like, you know, they never, you know, say specifically, but did this have something to do with that? And is there something going on in the background that kind of egged on the opening of the gates that this lady was involved with? So there's a lot to kind of chew on there as to what could happen, but it's a really good film. It's very creepy.
I've never seen it.
It's very atmospheric. I would definitely recommend it.
We watched it several years in a row.
I was asleep.
She falls asleep during every movie.
Now, this film stars Catriona MacCall, who was also in Gates of Hell, as well as House by the Cemetery, correct? She was in all three.
The lady?
She's the leading lady.
It's Gates of Hell, City of the Living Dead.
Yeah, she was. It's the same lady in all three of these Fulci films, and I don't know. I just find that kind of interesting. You know, not the same character, but the same actress, which is cool.
Yeah, she was on a roll.
She was on a roll.
On three of them.
She's like, I'll take that. Yeah, I'll take all three of those, Lucio. But no, I agree. The Beyond is a phenomenal film.
She cashed her
much more
check and went on.
Right. Much more enthralling than City of the Living Dead.
Yeah, it's a lot more atmospheric, and
that's what we watched the other night, right?
Yeah.
Oh. When she was in the coffin.
Cool.
She was in the coffin trying to claw her way out.
Oh, that was horrible. Now that was horrible.
That was a good
with
scene.
With the bloody fingers.
Like, it was a good scene.
Then he took the pickaxe and
and it almost it was about to hit her in the face.
But I feel like
that's one of the better scenes of the film.
I really like it better when they drink each other's blood and stuff.
You do or don't?
I do.
When they drink each other's blood.
What are you talking about?
I don't know.
When did that happen?
Yeah. I remember seeing some movie where some lady's laid out and they slit her wrist. And
that's some vampire movie.
Oh, that's happened in several films, but I don't remember which one specifically.
I don't know.
But you like that
half
better?
Naked and all. Like
yeah, so a vampire movie, yeah. Okay.
Most likely, yeah.
But I like this.
Not that I
endorse that.
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
But I like this one a lot better because the story's a lot more fleshed out than City of the Living Dead.
It is.
And not to say that there's like a concrete ending because they're going into the abyss to an unknown, unforeseen future that obviously they're
bless you again right
there. And they're obviously hopping around there because they've gone blind, so they can't even see where they're going. You know what I mean? So it's a really unforeseen fate. You know, they don't know what's going on. Which
are they walking around like this?
Well, they sort of almost are. I mean, not exactly that. Obvious,
but anyways, I like that a lot better because even though it's open ended, there's still it's up to you to kind of decide what happens. Whereas City of the Living Dead that we watched the other day,
that was horrible.
It was bad because instead of it being open ended and the whole world's just destroyed, they actually do solve the problem. But then as they're seeing the police and they're like, oh, everything's fine, they randomly just jump at the screen and go, ah! What does that mean?
That's the problem I have with that film. I didn't feel like there was any
explanation as to how it ended.
Well, there was an ending, but then they put that on there and then made it not an ending.
They crawled out of the hole.
Out of the grave, like the family
You
grave.
poor thing.
Sorry.
It's allergy season, folks. It's all good.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're cute as a bug. But yeah,
Sneeze on me and we'll be friends.
because they crawl out of the hole, and don't they see, is it the cops that are coming to meet them or somebody?
Yeah, but that's what doesn't make sense about it, because
And the little boy takes off running, right?
Yeah, but that's what doesn't make sense. There was actually a concrete ending with that movie.
Yeah.
But then they undermine that by throwing in that jump scare thing at the end. You're like, what's happening?
Yeah, but it's not even an effective jump scare because you have there's no rationale as
There's
to
no
why
next
they're-
part, yeah.
It's like, what?
Oh, they make it look like they're coming out of the TV. I was awake for that.
No.
No.
I think we watched
That was a completely different movie.
It was like
What's
Demons
that?
2.
That was that was the one with the clown. Remember at the end she was watching the videotape?
Oh,
That
yeah,
was
Art the Clown.
Yeah, that was the first Art the Clown movie. The one
Yeah,
she watches the
oh,
video.
No,
Oh,
it's not an Art the Clown movie.
He's the basically
Well, it's
the star
All
character of
Hallows
the
Eve,
movie.
yeah.
But it was All Hallows
It's
Eve.
not-
It wasn't terrifying.
That was
Not
a
his
good
namesake.
movie.
That's a good recommendation.
That was
It's
a
not
good
on the list, but All Hallows Eve and Terrifier, both very
That clown
well-made,
is
creepy,
so
modern
creepy.
horror films.
For
So,
a
yeah.
lower budget film, it's very they're going for shock value, but it's good.
Right.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, they're worth checking out though. So
Those are really good.
they are good. So
Yeah.
what's your closing on the Beyond Justice? What are you thinking?
It's to be
it's-
awesome.
No, that's
I like
too
that.
stupid
Look what you
sounding.
did
But,
there. That was-
but no, it's just a very good film. Good music, atmospheric. If you
It
like,
has a lot of hairband music.
nah, I don't, that's
That's
more
more
like
Argento-y.
Yeah, that's
and
more
stuff
like with
some of that
Goblin.
stuff.
Like,
No.
pour some sugar.
no, definitely
it's-
not that.
Well, they're Italian, so obviously that's wrong. But
El Poro, some sugar.
that's Spanish.
That's Spanish.
So
You're all over
get
the
your
place, but
languages
that's
mixed
okay.
up. But anyways, no, it's a lot more. Just,
Bellissimo.
but it's a lot more
Now you're
just
in the right
like
category.
sound effects and
Yeah.
just kind of atmospheric. Like I said, the music's very good with that. I do think it might have some keyboardy kind of stuff.
They usually do.
But
that seemed to be the
but it's
trend at the
very
time.
good, and like I said, I just like the fact that it's open ended, but not in such a way you'd be disappointed,
Yeah.
and more like world building. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there
I've
could be
never
more
seen
to it.
And some very effective gore scenes for the time. I mean, now if you go back and watch it 2 or 3 times and really
Yeah.
focus on the effects, the practical effects. But if you really focus on them, you're gonna say, "Oh, okay, now I see that's not." But if
You'll
you're
see
watching
the
it the first
string.
time, well, there's like a spider scene where it's tearing the
The
guy's
string.
flesh off his face, and the first time I watched it, I thought, "Oh, that's pretty cool." And same when they drive the spikes through the guy's hand at the hotel. After I watched it 2 or 3 times, I started, okay, well now
They
I
put
can
it
see where
between his
that you can
fingers.
see how they did it, but it doesn't matter because it's just brilliantly done for the time, and I would highly recommend it as well. So, high five on that choice,
I've
Lucille
never seen
Full
it,
Sheet.
so nah.
All right, the next film on my list of top 5 Halloween favorites would be the Paul Naschy 1980 classic El Retorno del Hombre Lobo, The Return of the Wolfman, as I said, starring the great Paul Naschy. And this is essentially, it's essentially a remake of La Noche de Walpurgis Night. So it's like a remake of that, basically, which I like that film as well. But this one, in my opinion, is superior. I don't know. The makeup is the big thing for me. Pellicola. No, I love the makeup. To me, this is Naschy's best werewolf makeup ever, even compared to later films. I don't know. Whoever did the makeup in this particular film nailed it. I mean, whereas in like the earlier L'Oreal, I don't think that's true. But like in some of his earlier stuff, like The Fury of the Wolfman, where he just has some hair peppered, you can see his nose here and there, but he looks cool. But this, he's got the ears, he's got the fangs, and I mean, look at this guy. This looks like a werewolf. This is good makeup, and this is the only film where he looks just like this. It varies from film to film. He plays Waldemar Daninsky rather, in all of these films, but the makeup's always a little bit different.
And they're not even necessarily canonically connected.
They're not. He's the same character, but
Yeah, they're not like sequels. They're self-contained
But there
stories.
are a couple that I think are kind of supposed to be loosely connected.
Well, I think you're right about that. Certain plot lines and stuff.
Like
yeah.
the witch one, and then another one was connected.
Yeah, I think there's a few things like that, but overall, you're right. They're all pretty self-contained stories. So yeah, you know.
does he? What's with the lady? Is that his woman? Or?
It's just a lady.
Oh, that's just a lady. Yeah.
Why he just picks her up when he's?
She stumbled and hurt her foot. And he's, here, madam, let me help you over this
And
puddle.
she's
No, it's just-
topless.
Well, I don't know where he picked her up.
Yeah.
But no, I'm just saying.
Looks like she has something.
Now she's a
nowadays.
gentleman.
Yeah, it's hair.
Oh.
Yeah.
She's hairy nipples.
It's convenient censoring for a plot device.
Oh.
No, but Jacinto Molina has played this character, I'm going to say 13 times. That could be wrong, so don't get mad at me. Google it. But yeah, this is, I don't know, maybe his 9th time playing the werewolf in this particular film.
Molina?
Huh? Jacinto Molina.
Oh.
Paul Naschy's his, American name. But anyway,
Oh, okay.
I think this is by far one of his greatest pictures. So if you watch it, get a nice, clean, don't get an old VHS. It came out in the 80s on VHS as The Craving.
So this is Spain. This is
Spain, not Mexico. This is Spain.
Okay.
But it came out in VHS in the 80s called The Craving. I saw it then. I thought it was a great film. I saw it later as Return of the Wolf Man, a really nice, I think it was a widescreen print. Thought, man, this is even better than I remember. And I think it was just recently released, maybe on Blu-ray, I could be wrong, or DVD at least, as I think The Night of the Wolf Man or something. I watch DVDs and Blu-rays.
A lot of people
and
watch
things.
DVDs.
I'd rather have a nice. I don't want to stream everything. I don't want to download everything. I want to have a hard copy.
People who
of something.
collect and have DVDs and Blu-rays. People who just watch things in passing don't care. They have streaming.
Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, I mean, if you've seen his earlier films, Werewolf versus the Vampire Woman, as I said, things like that. This is like sort of like a remake of that. So anyway, I highly recommend.
What's scary about it?
It's not so much. I don't know. It's just atmospheric. There again, it's made in Spain. But what I like about it, from a Halloween standpoint, is the makeup effects. I love werewolf stuff, and this to me looks like an honest-to-goodness werewolf. It doesn't look like some hack job.
Because we've all seen a werewolf before.
Where they just, what you would imagine a half-human, half-wolf would look like.
A lycanthrope, as they say.
A lycanthrope, yes. Now, Lon Chaney Jr., the one everybody thinks about.
Classic Universal.
That's great makeup. And there's been multiple great makeups over the years in certain werewolf films. Oliver Reed and Curse of the Werewolf, for instance. But I have to say that Naschy's makeup, and like I said, I don't know who his makeup artist was. I think they vary from film to film because there's no continuity there either. This has got to be the greatest werewolf makeup ever done. Even compared to, like I said, his later works when he made the Ray Dennis Steckler, or not, Fred Holden Ray werewolf film later on. I can't remember what it was called right now, but the werewolf makeup in that, while it was okay, doesn't hold a candle to this earlier work. So if you like werewolves, there again, there's some violence, blood, maybe a little nudity in this, so watch the children.
Yeah, if it's
El Retorno del Hombre Lobo.
But you have to expect that in any sort of like Italian or Spanish movie with some age on it. That's pretty much all.
Unless it's a hacked up TV print, you're gonna have blood. You're gonna have a little bit of nudity and
mostly
killing, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
but that was even American movies too. So.
Oh, sure. That was just So but I would highly recommend this film. So
don't let kids watch it.
I would say don't let kids watch most of these films. But as an adult, if you're a fan of the genre, by all means, take it for what it is. It's a horror picture, and enjoy it.
And
so,
movies don't make.
If you like Paul Naschy, this is a good one.
All right, my next pick is The People Under the Stairs.
Good choice.
Yeah, I don't know what year this is from.
Well, let me look it up.
I think it's 80s or something.
I would say mid 80s probably.
Mid 80s.
It might. I don't know. Let me
Again, crazies.
Yeah.
Scary people.
I find
Humans are scary.
Crazy incest people.
Now, see, crazy incest.
Yes.
Yeah, delivered.
1991.
91. Oh my
Yes.
gosh, I was still older and I was still afraid.
Well,
I remember seeing this movie actually. I saw it once, but then I really remember watching it. I was probably, oh my gosh, I don't know, probably 17 or 18. And I thought it was super scary. Like, it's just really, really scary and weird. And just, again, crazies. I don't know. I find crazies and hillbillies very scary.
well, these people in this film are definitely crazy.
They are.
Aren't they
yeah.
a brother and sister?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they don't. But you don't find that out till later.
Ah, okay. Spoiler alert if you
Yeah.
haven't seen it.
And here they are. The
Well,
mom
everything's a
and
spoiler.
dad.
I
like-
guess that's true.
And so now what happens? I mean, I kind of remember it's like, I know that people are like, these people are like living in the walls, right? And they throw
Right, the
them-
kids.
Well,
yeah.
the whole thing is like they live like the whole neighborhood's just like a ghetto kind of slum sort of area,
Right.
And it's because these people basically own everybody's houses and they pay like rent to them, and of course they're not trying to revitalize it. They're using all this money to buy extravagant things and hoarding it. Actually, no, they're hoarding it because in their basement they have like cash and like a vault and all kinds of stuff.
They're weird.
But everybody they have of course like this kind of like story around them, like, oh, don't go there, those people are crazy and all this. And yeah, they've been,
And that's why Fool decides to go, right?
Yes,
because he's heard the money,
Yeah.
because he's trying to get the money.
Oh, that's right, for his family.
Because, well, I think it's like his sister and her boyfriend or something like that, and they're all trying to like leave the community so they can have like a better life for themselves. So him and either the sister's boyfriend or somebody they're loosely associated with who's kind of like a unsavory type, he's like, oh, we'll break in there. And Fool's like, oh, I'll come in there.
So he sneaks into
and
the
he's
house.
trying to use him because he's like, he can get through like the window and crap like that.
Because
So.
he's little.
He's
See,
little.
That's what they use. The
So that's why they
Yeah,
break
yes.
in there.
Yeah, it's
That's
scary. I mean, and I don't think, and see, that's again that whole surprise thing.
Right.
Like he
Like they thought it was going to be an
breaks
easy job.
in, kind of like that one movie.
Like
what
Don't
is it?
Breathe.
Yes.
Oh,
Where they're
yeah.
like, oh, we're the bad guys, but then they turn it on their head and he's
Yeah.
the bad
And
guy.
that's kind of what
That's
happened.
another intense film. Don't Breathe.
And
haven't seen it?
like it's kind of that, you know, it whole like he breaks in, he thinks he's gonna get something good, and then it's kind of like the Roach Motel. You know, you check in but you don't check out.
Mhm.
Kinda
But you
thing.
don't expect something good from that.
No.
Right.
It does work out for him because, yeah, they have been stealing people's kids over the years, and all the kids are usually, like, a lot of them are missing tongues and eyes and crap like that because they've,
And they have them like all in the dark,
In the
and
ba-
stuff in their skin.
Oh, yeah, they're all pale and-
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
because from what they were saying, I believe that the kids, like, didn't behave in the way they wanted, so they basically did that to punish them, and now they're all living in the basement because I guess they can't just throw them outside.
Well, they're kind of like in the walls, aren't they?
No,
Or are they in
That's
the
what
basement?
Roach is.
Yeah, Roach is in the walls. All the other kids are in the basement, but Roach escapes, and he's not quite as feral. He got his
And
tongue.
this is Roach.
He got his tongue cut out.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, he's got his tongue cut out, but he's pretty normal besides then. And I guess he's frequently in the vents because the weird brother-sister duo are always trying to catch him and shoot him and stuff.
Right, because they're shooting at the walls, right, trying to
Oh,
stop him.
trying to
Because
get
the
him.
only
Right.
child that they deem to be good
is the girl.
is the girl that they stole, and they're trying to raise her. And of course, like anything can get these people riled, and the
Right.
mother's terrible, and the guy's crazy, as you saw him.
And they allow the little girl to go out and go
Live
to
a normal
school.
life, right?
Yeah, and she comes back.
Doesn't she?
I don't know.
I
Does
thought
she
she
not?
did.
No, she never leaves the house.
Oh, she does.
But she's allowed to live on like the surface levels of the house.
Oh,
But no,
okay,
'cause
that's
she can't
right.
escape because Fool tries to help her escape, and she's helping him.
Oh, that's right. I
and
remember
then
now.
they're like,
It's been a long time.
I picked
man.
this movie and I don't even remember.
Yeah, but it's been a long. You
Because he's
picked it
trying to-
because it scared
It's been
you.
a
But he's
long time,
trying to
yeah.
escape because
Okay.
there's like a pond, like a goldfish pond, and they're like, "Oh, we'll jump through that." And I think Fool gets out, but they catch the girl. But
Mhm.
Fool goes and gets the community riled to help, and then they're outside. They're like, "What are you people doing out here?" And then I think they get the cops
And
involved.
Bing Rames is in this film.
Really?
Yeah, he's in this film. Yeah.
Oh, was he the guy who was with Fool?
He had the hat on, little I don't know, little short have.
I think that he might have been.
I think he was. Yeah, I think
criminal guy that they kill.
I think it might be.
And then they like feed him to the kids.
It might be.
But the craziest part about that is, I won't say I understand, but like they're crazy, but they're feeding people to these kids. But what I thought was the weirdest part was when the guy's like, here, kids, you're hungry and all this, and he's throwing it at them. But then he eats some too.
Well, he's insane. Apparently, he doesn't give a rip.
Well, it's nice that he takes a bite and makes sure that it's not poison.
No, he ate it.
He's like the official food taster. Yeah, this is pretty good.
He's the
this guy tastes good.
The cupbearer for the.
And it's just gross too, because the lady's like, "Go get him, daddy."
Oh yeah, she does call him daddy. Yeah, that's very.
And he's got his gimp suit on and a shotgun, and he's like, "I'm going for him." And
let's look at that picture again. Let's go back to the gimp shot for a second. That's like two. Yeah. Look at that, man. If you had that guy chasing you, I'm sorry.
He's kind of like
that's a very
like a really weird Iron Giant.
Yeah, very
like
weird.
fuels with sex and hate.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what
he's
very
like
weird.
He's a lot more. He's like a very alpha version of the Gimp from Pulp Fiction.
Oh yeah, right.
Oh yeah.
So
no zipper though.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Very odd. I just again any kind of crazies.
But it's kind of like an R-rated Goonies.
It is
kind of like that, yeah.
Because then they got the weird people who are trying to get the treasure too, and they got money or whatever, and they're trying to get the kids and presumably kill them, even though they don't really say that, but because it's more of a kid movie. But in the end, just like the Goonies, they end up getting the treasure. You know what I mean?
Right.
For the community. Kind of like the Goonies, except this is obviously
so it has a nice ending.
A lot more violent than the Goonies. And then the weird kids who are all feral and everything and all pale, they like look up at the sky, and the one kid puts on like a biker jacket or something. Like, and the funny thing about that though is that at the end of it, like they escape and everything, like, oh, I'm so happy for these kids that were locked in the basement. But realistically, they're not going to be able to lead normal lives, and they're just letting them walk down the street. Like they're probably just going to go to a gas station.
And they're probably going to eat people because they're used to eating people. And they have a taste.
I don't know. Like
they're kind of messed up.
They're going to be like.
I mean, they shouldn't be locked away, but they need help.
They need to be in the home.
These people need help. Yeah.
No, I look the guy behind the counter.
Right. He smells fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
it's weird.
It's a very weird, disturbing film if you haven't seen it, but it's definitely worth watching.
I hate that I don't really remember, but I know I remember that it was.
You remembered it enough to know it's worth recommending, and that was kind of the whole point of this.
Did you say 91?
91, yeah.
91.
I've probably seen this film twice.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a good film. And Sean Whalen as Roach, I think, is one of the highlights of the film, honestly, with his tongue
that's his name.
hacked out, and I think he did a great job.
I like his big eyes.
He's he's a very jovial kid for not having a tongue and being in like people's vans, because he comes out there and they're like, "We're gonna get him," and he's like,
well, I think he enjoys taunting them. He's getting one over on him, even though he's not escaping the house per se. But I think he enjoys. Yeah. Just the fact that, I'm running through the house.
And maybe he likes the suit, too, the Gimp suit.
Oh, perhaps he does.
And then they got that
smell of the
then they got that big
leather,
dog.
perhaps.
And then they got that big dog that they call Baby or whatever.
I don't remember.
It's like a big, like, Rottweiler.
Yeah, some big.
And then they end up hurting the dog, and they're like, I can't believe they hurt him. I'm going to kill him for hurting Baby or whatever.
Yeah, I can't believe they hurt the dog.
Yeah, I can't believe they hurt the dog. He's murderous.
What'd you say?
Yeah, hillbillies.
Oh. Okay. I think that's okay to say.
Yeah, okay.
They're not hillbillies, though.
No.
They're just weird.
They're still incestuous.
I don't know what you even call them. They're
weird. They're incest sibling people.
Yeah, are they together?
Yeah.
Oh, they
which makes it even more
disturbing. Because the guy, when the old man's telling the story, is like, oh, that family was bad news and all this, and the next generation was even worse. And then that brother and sister inherited everything, and they're all weird and together and everything. And
keep it in the family.
So you would recommend this film?
I would recommend People Under the Stairs for they got like 9 days of Halloween
left. Yeah.
To watch before so.
Well, if you're watching every one of these movies, you'd have to like have a double or triple feature,
Yeah. Well, I recommend watching it. Yeah. It's like I said, crazy people.
Crazy people.
They're
scary
scary.
people. Crazy
Yeah.
people are scary people.
It is. Yeah, the people under the stairs.
Yeah, if you're trying to break in and then they got locks on the inside, you're like, ooh, or yeah, they got locks on the inside to keep you in. That's crazy.
And
That's a problem.
And you know what? It's a good film to deter crime.
Oh yeah, that's a good
right.
Film. Yeah.
Much like that marijuana film.
Reefer Madness.
Yeah,
it's a good PSA, folks.
Terrible film.
it is.
Check it out. The people.
Don't break into people's houses. They might be crazy, and
Yeah, you might end up under
don't
their
smoke
stairs,
the
right?
reefer.
Yeah, because you
Yeah.
might end up crazy. So there you go. Enough said.
All right, the next pick of mine is Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. And now, this is not to be confused with the more modern Don't Be Afraid of the
Right.
Dark that is sort of a remake of this that was by Guillermo del Toro, I believe, actually.
Oh, really? I didn't
Yeah,
even realize
which is
that.
kind of surprising because, like, his practical effect, like, movies and stuff, like Pan's Labyrinth and the Hellboy films and all that, really beautiful stuff, really cool stuff. This movie's terrible. The remake is terrible. The little monsters are like CG and they look really bad, and they're trying to say that they were summoned from hell and all this stuff. And it's like a similar movie to the original, but not really. Like, it is kind of its own thing.
That's the one with Katie Holmes.
Yeah, but I can't recommend the sequel, or not the sequel, the remake. I don't think it's very good. And it's a different story and everything, but just kind of like loosely based on the other one, I guess. But the one I'm referring to is a 70s made-for-TV movie. Now, if you watch this now as an adult, you probably wouldn't think it's that scary. It's a little hokey.
Oh, I remember when we watched this. We were laying in bed watching it.
It's pretty creepy. If memory serves, it starts out with just kind of a dark room, and you're hearing these two little voices talk to each other, kind of planning and whatnot. And we come to find out this girl is inheriting her family home, I'm wanting to say, because her father has passed. And she's trying to open everything up, open up all the windows, get all the feng shui going,
Yeah.
And there's a study that has a boarded up or something like that fireplace. And they're like, oh, don't open that, and because there's a butler of some sort or handyman or something that works there.
They always pass.
And he's always like,
yeah, they do.
And he's always like, oh, don't touch that room. But of course he doesn't elaborate because I guess he assumes they won't believe him.
Right.
But of course she's like, oh, well, I really want this done. So she goes and opens it, and everything's fine for a while, but some mishaps start happening, and like she gets cut and things like that, and they just of course chalk it up to, oh, well, it's nothing. And then there's one scene I found really memorable where they're having sort of some friends over or something for a dinner, and they think that the lady's going a little crazy because she's like kind of on her edge, like, oh, I see stuff, blah blah blah, and she's eating a salad, and the creatures, if you didn't know, kind of have a California raisin kind of look to them with like a fursuit. They're kind of weird. But or kind of like walnuts too. Actually, they kind of look like walnuts.
Their heads do look like walnuts.
They do.
That is so weird, but you're right.
Yeah.
But anyways, she's looking at her salad, and then she sees the two little faces in her salad, and they're like, "Oh,
God."
I hope it wasn't a walnut salad. That would have been kind of. But of course, they're like, "Oh, she's going crazy, whatever," and of course, people are getting injured at her house and things of that nature. So they're leaving, and by the end of it, she gets hurt, and she's kind of bedridden, but. They're like, oh yeah, we're gonna go get help, and of course, you should never leave somebody by themselves.
Never do that.
Creatures.
Never do that.
Take it with you.
And then she's like, no, don't go. And they're like, oh, it'll be fine. You're just whatever. I'll call an ambulance or something. And then of course, the two creatures, or there might be more, I guess, start pulling her down with an extension cord or something like that, because they tried to trip her on the stairs before. But they start pulling her down the stairs towards the end of the movie, and towards the study where they came out of that fireplace.
Right.
And it's never really discussed, but they pull her down in the fireplace. And to my knowledge, fireplaces usually have like a bottom where you put logs and stuff.
Right.
And they go up.
Yeah, but this was just like a hole to nowhere. They throw her down like they're disposing of a body or something, and. Like I said, they never elaborate, but it makes me wonder, is this supposed to be like a drop to hell or something like that. And
Like these are some demons.
yeah, and like
Walnut demon.
like perhaps
Walnut,
her
yeah.
like perhaps her
Are you English all of a sudden?
perhaps her ancestors like
Fantastic.
summoned them and then they realized it was a terrible mistake and they've always been in their familial home and tried
Right.
to shut it off and they just never knew, like some kind of dark family secret. They never really say.
or like.
But
termites.
so it's
Maybe.
really up to interpretation as to what you think their origin is. But what I always found most disturbing about it when I watched this as a little kid is that threats that are larger than you or a similar size you can be aware of and try to stay away from and run away or whatever. But things that are small and can hide in the corners of rooms and things like that, kind of like more of a
like a brown recluse.
well, I meant more of a Fatal Gulliver's Travels sort of scenario.
Oh, right,
Um,
yeah.
But things that can do that you
Sorry.
won't necessarily notice, but they'll notice you and could attack you with all kinds of things that you're not ready for. I found that really scary because it's like, oh, I'm not ready for this, and you can't tell if they're there or not.
Kind of like the monster.
And they're just
in the
off-putting anyways.
Yeah, it is like
They
that.
do. They look like little, like, prune people or something. It's just very disturbing.
bed. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
like
just,
like really sad Ewoks.
Sure. But,
would have been burnt violently in the face.
but anyways, and their appearance
Burn
is
up Ewok.
it's sort of
Very
comical, but it's very different than the remake where they're very skinny with like these kind of like wide heads and these like milky eyes, like I guess they can't see in the light and stuff like that. And these seem to be very intelligent
Those are
and
more popular.
yeah, these are very intelligent, kind of calculating creatures. Whereas also in the remake, they seem to be more feral and just kind of attack whatever and don't necessarily like, think super clearly.
Right.
Whereas this are like, oh, we'll tie her up and then we'll do this and then we'll stab her and all. The other ones would just probably try to tear you apart.
Here they're like more plotting.
Yeah, like they've been like sitting in there for years and had years to think about this and how they're going to get their
Right.
revenge and do whatever. But yeah, the fact that they're small, I always found very disturbing because they could just, you're like, oh, I'm trying to sleep, and then they just come out from under your pillow. And
Kind of
get you.
unassuming, yeah.
well, yeah, and I mean, I don't know who did the makeup for this film, but actually, it's creepy.
That's very.
I mean, they're obviously just fur bodysuits. You could, like a Bigfoot suit or whatever, you could
They
probably...
even have like the little.
But the masks, and I'm sure that's just what they're just masks, but they're
walnut masks.
very cool.
Yeah, they kept kids from eating the trail mix for years.
Right. But like you said, this was in, what, 73? Made for TV. And back in the 70s, that seemed to be the heyday for really scary, made for TV
like that
movies.
Scarecrow movie.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember that when I was a kid. We watched that like a few years ago. But I
Mhm.
remember that movie where they hang the guy up
Yeah.
and he's the Scarecrow, but it's really.
Oh, you mean where they shoot him and then they hide it? And the
Yeah, and they
scarecrows
don't know that he's a real guy. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. So, I mean, that stuff's creepy.
Is it called Night of the Scarecrow?
It might be Dark Night of the Scarecrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be something
that's
else.
it, I think.
I think that's
And
what
that
it
was
is.
a made for TV movie. And Watership Down.
Well,
oh my
yeah.
god.
That's not really a horror movie.
Yes, it is. Have you ever seen that?
It's pretty disturbing
Those
as far as...
rabbits are eating each other and fighting each other. It is so scary. Like they would always show that around Easter and stuff.
Oh, hey kids, the
It's a
Easter
little
Bunny's
disturbing
coming to
for an
town.
I
Easter
was
film.
like, this is not Peter Concho. They're like fighting each other and eating. And it's
Yeah,
so
It's
scary.
it's a similar scenario where kids are like, oh, it's a cartoon. We'll leave the kids in the room for a few hours. It's kind of like those grandparents that brought all the kids to Sausage Party.
Oh, yeah, that was...
And we're like, this isn't a Pixar film!
Mm-mm.
Oh, did that really happen?
Yep.
We had a lady. We saw Scary Movie the first time. There was
Yeah.
a lady with her little that I knew, and she had her little kid.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff happens. It's misleading.
Yeah.
But these TV movies in the 70s, Trilogy of Terror, Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, I mean, there was a slew of them, a lot of Dan Curtis stuff. Scary.
Yeah.
And then I think around the 80s, that sort of tapered off, and now they don't make anything made-for-TV movies, to my knowledge. Or if they do, it's nothing like this.
Unless
Yeah, they don't
it's like
really do
Hallmark
made.
films.
Yeah, they don't
Movie of
really,
the week or any of that. That was a big thing back then.
Yeah.
ABC especially.
Yeah, they don't really do made for
Um,
TV. It's pretty much if it's just kind of they'll just do like straight to video kind of stuff.
Yeah, and
well, not video anymore. but you
And
know what I'm
these
saying.
guys, these were scary.
Yeah, they don't do straight to video anymore. They do straight to streaming service.
Right.
They're like, Netflix is like,
They charge you for it.
Yeah,
Oh, I know.
yeah. Netflix is like, oh, this is a bad movie. Oh well, it'll expand our library.
Right, but if you think about it, these movies, Gargoyles is another made-for-TV movie that has a cult following. This one does.
Oh,
As I said,
the Stephen King movie.
Salem's Lot.
Yes.
Made for TV. That one's great. That's a great one. As I said, Trilogy of Terror, made for TV movie with the Zuni fetish doll.
Oh.
That's it was more. It was 3 stories, but that's the
remember
one
they
everybody
used to have
loves.
That really cool one at Dave's Movies and More.
Movies and More. And
Yeah,
Granite
they had
City,
and you asked him about that, and he said one of his customers had
gave it to
brought
gifted
that
him. It was a cool replica.
Yeah, he never takes the chain off.
Oh, just in case.
Yeah, right. Well,
What did they do?
Who would blame him?
What did the Zuni fetish doll do?
It would come to life, and it was chasing the lady through the apartment,
like these guys. See, not good.
And then at the end of it, she's sort of possessed by it. And she smiles, and she's got
because she puts him in
Karen Black.
Yeah, well, she puts him in the oven.
Of course.
Of course, Karen Black.
Yeah,
she puts
crazy hillbilly.
Well, she's not a hillbilly, but
talking about.
She was in. Karen Black was in
right,
House of a Thousand Corpses.
She didn't always play.
Okay,
she played a multitude of things, but
in the film, the reason she becomes possessed is she tries to kill the Zuni fetish doll by putting it in the oven, but it releases the spirit and it possesses her.
Yeah.
Oh, because she likes.
So it becomes.
She
breathes it in. Yeah.
She huffed it. Yeah.
It becomes corporeal or whatever that term. Isn't that
incorporeal?
Incorporeal.
What does that mean?
It means
it doesn't have a physical form.
Yeah.
Oh.
But then it becomes corporeal when it enters our body.
Oh, is that like corpse? Is that where that comes from?
No, I don't think so.
I don't know.
Or corpuscle?
It's a fair question. Corpuscle.
But it's kind of interesting what I was talking about with
all these big words.
But Kim Darby's the star of this one, and she does a great job as the victimized woman,
No, but what I was talking about with the whole Netflix thing,
eyes.
like buying movies,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of interesting. I saw another horror movie. I think we watched it together where the kid, every time he would dream, his nightmares would turn real and stuff like that.
Oh, we did watch that.
And that was a pretty good movie because his, mom had died from cancer or something, and then he had the Sancer Man or whatever that was, coming to get him or whatever. But by the end of it, he was all good and had pleasant dreams. But the funny thing is, I remember seeing that movie, and I think we watched it on, one of those movie websites, you know what I mean? They just, the pirate websites.
Right.
We watched that, but the funny thing is, because I heard at the movie theater I worked at for a time, that they're like, oh, this movie's coming out pretty soon, and we're going to show it. And I'm like, that sounds eerily similar to something I watched 3 years ago.
And it was the same film?
And come to find out, this movie had been shelved for 3 or 4 years, and then somebody bought it
to release,
to distribute. So I was like, so this is an old movie, okay? Because I was like, I could have swore because I saw the previews and all that, and I'm like, I've seen this before.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah,
that works.
That's some movie that you think's new, could have been made 10 years ago.
Yeah, and they just was sitting on a shelf for that long.
That's what happened with Benjamin Buttons.
Is that what?
You mean the child was sitting on the shelf too long? It's getting wrinkly.
It's out of date.
7.
Produce.
No. He was
7.
7.
How old are you? 7. Classic. It's a classic line.
Oh my gosh.
So,
but regardless, yes, I would definitely recommend this.
He kind of looked like them at one point.
You obviously watching it, if you're first time watching it as an adult, it's not going to be as scary. But just imagine as a kid watching this, it's very atmospheric. It's still atmospheric, but the monsters obviously aren't going to be as scary. But it's definitely something you got to watch at least once.
Well, just imagine they're bad moles,
yeah.
Not like moles, like the animal moles.
Something just flew by my head. I don't know.
A mole on your
your
face.
I don't understand what you mean.
That sounds like a good closing comment.
But anyways, yeah, I would give it a watch.
All right. Now my next choice in the top 5 Halloween films that I would recommend this season to watch is not a horror picture, but a science fiction film from 1954. It is the one, the only, The Creature from the Black Lagoon. I absolutely love this film. I fell in love with this film as a kid. All the Gilman flicks, all 3 of them. But I mean, look at this thing. This, to me, is one of the most amazing monster suits ever constructed. I mean, look at this thing. The detail is amazing. I've heard people...
He has hairy palms.
They're not. They're suction cups. Because he is a fish man, you know.
And fish have suction
cups. Well,
octopus
have suction cups. So he's a bit of a conglomeration of, I guess, different types of fish.
Don't they actually call him the amphibian man?
I don't know if they do in this or not. They call him the Gill Man. There is a movie called The Amphibian Man. It's a different film.
For some reason, I thought they called him.
Right? Yeah, but they do call him the Gill Man.
There's more amphibians than just frogs, but
yeah. So I mean, just as I said, what really strikes me about the Gill Man, the creature from the Black Lagoon, is the detail on this costume, because there were a lot of monster movies that came out in that era, and some of the costumes were just pitiful. I mean, they just looked fake. This, if you watch the film, the gills, or the fins rather, I guess, on the side of its head, actually open and close as he's breathing, which I'm assuming was done with air bladders at the time. You know, that's how they do a lot of that stuff. But the suit design, you know, by Millicent Patrick and her crew, Universal did a fantastic job. Now this shot here we're looking at is a Rico Browning swimming.
He's still alive, right?
He's been sick lately, so I don't know what, but I know online there were a lot of people. You know, they were asking that if you could send him a letter, he would really like that.
Well, you never did that.
I haven't done that yet, but I need to do that.
Yeah.
So send Rico.
Doesn't he have emails? Like, who does letters anymore?
Well, he wants actual physical letters. He's old school, man.
Well, yeah, I guess.
All people like letters.
Or Rico Browning, who, if I'm not mistaken, created the series Flipper.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which he had a lot to do with that. There was an episode of Flipper where they actually used the Monster Pidris Blanca suit in it, called, I believe, Flipper versus the Monster or something. But anyway...
Wasn't it a dolphin?
Yeah, it's a
Flipper
family show.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Was he going to fight a monster?
Well, he does. It's the monster. They're actually filming a movie, and it's just a suit.
Oh,
but,
well, you hear
but that's the name
Does
of the
he live
series.
in Florida?
He does live in Florida.
Well, you know, I hear about the things dolphins get up to, so maybe he would kill him.
Dolphins are a bit randy, yes.
Yeah, he would choke him to death, or hump him against a wall until he's dead.
Right. But look at this suit. I mean, like I keep going on about the suit. It's just excellently constructed. Now, this is a shot of him attacking Julia Adams, whatever. But this is the land suit, and I don't know if you can tell. If you can go back a couple slides to the color shot again, you can actually see the eyes, the lenses in the eyes, which are sort of spectacled with gold specks and got the blue outline and everything. These, from what I understand, were removable, but they use these for the land suit. Mm-hmm. Now, if you go forward to the black and white shot of Rico swimming, that mask doesn't actually have the lenses, and I'm not saying that's a different mask altogether from what I understand. There was the the underwater mask and the land mask, and if you see him underwater, his eyes always look black. And I guess that's just the way they had to do it, so that he could actually see to swim around underwater. Now, I don't know if there's goggles under that, or if it's just open holes. I don't really know. But I do know that the underwater mask is an open lens, or open hole, whereas the land creature it has the lenses. And now, if you watch the next film, Revenge of the Creature, the mask is a little bit different sculpt, and I don't have a photo of that, but the lenses are completely different. They look more slanted and
That's
bulbous.
where he's like on land and he has like a suit on.
No, that's not. That's The Creature Walks Among Us.
Oh yeah, that's The Creature Walks Among Us, where he gets burnt and loses his scales. And
yeah,
that
he gets
sort of thing.
burnt in such a way that it's like perfectly symmetrical, and
right.
he just turns into a completely land-based
candle.
creature.
But the thing about this guy,
a creature here.
the thing about the creature here, like this one will show you that you got the lenses and everything. This is the Trick or Treat Studios mask, and it's probably one of the best masks I've seen, honestly, representing how the creature actually looked in the color photograph that we showed. But what I like about this film, as I said,
wear it on
this is not really considered a horror movie. It's a science fiction film, but there are some very intense moments where he is stalking
when he grabs them.
Julie Adams, yeah.
Yes.
Well, when he's swimming underneath her, looking up at her, and he touches at her foot, you know.
Voyeuristic,
you know, and it just there's a lot of intensity in this film. Not to mention the soundtrack is amazing as well. Very intense musical score.
He has these big lips.
These big kissable lips. Give him a kiss. Give him... Oh yeah, he's happy. So, but yeah, I've always loved this film. It's my favorite monster of all time, I have to say, and I just keep going on about the suit because it's great. And I heard some people, some commentary a few years ago on a DVD, and I think it might have even been Bob Burns talking about when the suit was dry, it looked like a rubber suit, but then when it was wet, it looked like, you know, more organic, more like a fish, you know, which makes sense. But I don't care. It's dry here, and it looks great. It's dry in the color shot we were looking at, and it still looks great. Now, this is, of course, Ben Chapman in the land suit here. And I don't know. To me, if I ran into this in the wild, I wouldn't say, oh, that's a dude in a rubber suit. Well, I mean, I probably would because I know it's not real. But I'm just saying, if you ran into something in the Amazon like this,
it would be in the Amazon.
Or in your pool.
Well, I'm just saying, it looks realistic to me.
I'm not going to lie. If I was in the Amazon, I'd be less worried about him and more worried about the Kindiru that's going to swim up your
Well...
Oh,
yeah.
That's the penis fish.
Yeah.
Oh,
so, so anyway...
I think if he swam up your bladder, you would know.
I'm going to hold this up as a comparison. But anyway, this, as I said, is one of the more accurate depictions of the Gill Man.
Well, this is probably a colorized photo, isn't it?
Well, I think it's from Life magazine or something from back in the day.
Well, it has to be a colorized photo.
Well, they had color film back then. They just didn't use it often. So I don't know. I've always assumed this was probably an actual color photo, you know, like one of their exclusive
That looks pretty close.
things. So anyway, so it may or may not be. I don't know.
Good job, Trick or Treat Studios.
Yeah, they did an excellent job.
Hey, I mean, it looks just like this photo, pretty much.
It does.
And they mentioned something about the blue, remember?
Right. We were watching, let me get back in frame here. Watching an interview with the owner of Trick or Treat Studios. And he was talking about when they did the mask, they put the blue around the eyes, as you can see in this photograph. And he said the execs at Universal asked him, why did you put blue on this mask? Why would you do that? And he said, because we based it on the Life magazine photos. And he showed them, and they were like, oh, okay, well, that's fine, and that's great. So from then on out, they were cool with that. They were like, we'll do that then. Because apparently the execs don't do any research on these things. They just assume he's like a bright green or something, and that's good enough. Well, as you can see, he's really not. He's a green with gold tint and other, you know, types of colors and spectacle. Well, which is another reason why this suit to me looks so amazing. You know, his mouth opened, like I said, the fins on the side of his head flared open as he walked, you know, and this was an effective suit. This coupled with the soundtrack, and it's black and white. This is a color photo, but it's a black and white film. Very, very, very effective. So if you haven't seen The Creature from the Black Lagoon, first of all, shame on you. And second of all, check it out.
Check it out.
And, I mean, like, it does look really good. And honestly, I don't think that's kind of uncommon, though. At Universal at that time, it seemed like they really had a lot of, you know...
They did.
A lot of power when it came between the, you know, with the effects and the masks and the makeup. Because the Metaluna Mutant looks really good. The Mole person looks good. And they're more humanoid monsters, which is more makeup, less prosthetics, look really good. But yeah, also to comment on what you were saying with the color of the suit and everything, I wouldn't be surprised with some of the people that are like, oh yeah, Frankenstein's bright green, you know what I mean? It's like that. It's like that whole thought process where he's actually more of like a pale, yellowy kind of jaundiced,
like a dead person, right?
But for some reason, people have just come to the assumption that he's green like this mask, which...
Right, you know, and of course we know that's not the case either.
Yeah.
But when you take a black and white film, and I don't know how that starts, if they make a toy and it ends up being a certain color, and people just in their mind, oh, that must be what color it is, and then they run with it.
See, with the gray, you get kind of a green hue.
You do, but if you think about it, how many fish do you see that are green?
You really don't see that many.
I think she's talking about Frankenstein at this
Yeah.
point.
No, but I'm talking about on the creature. I mean, I would assume maybe more of a bluish gray, but they always ran with the green. The toys, the model
fish. I mean,
no, I'm just saying. I would assume a fish would be more of a grayish blue color, like a bluegill or a trout.
Like moss or...
Well, I guess so.
I mean, he's supposed to be prehistoric. On top of that, and the ocean holds such a vast number of creatures that look like all kinds of different things.
Yeah.
So you could really get away with whatever as far as aquatic things. Whereas land-based things, it's a lot more set in stone. Whereas we're discovering new species of aquatic animals every day.
That's true. So. Oh, and there's one more scene I got to mention in this film that I absolutely love. There's a scene, and this is a real thing, where I think it's I don't know if it's a stork or a crane, I think it is, lands on a log. This is supposed to be the Amazon. Of course, they filmed it in Florida, but a crane or a seagull or something actually lands on a log in the river.
I think the Everglades.
And then the gill man actually pops up, grabs this bird, and drags it under the water to eat. This is all in one shot, mind you. Yeah, he comes up, grabs the bird.
You do that now.
Well, now I'm not saying he killed it, because I'm sure once they pulled it under, they cut and they let the bird go. But unless they did some really amazing special effects for the bird back then, this is a real bird. I have no doubt in my mind.
He would have had to get pecked to death.
And it was probably trained, so I mean, I would assume as soon as he jumped out, it probably would have flew off or flown off. People train birds.
Like from the circus.
Like the ravens in the opera we watched the other night. The guy was the bird wrangler.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming this was used to commotion, or else it probably would have flown off before this guy in this rubber suit that he couldn't see.
Probably so, yeah.
So anyway, that is one of the more memorable, well, there's a lot of memorable scenes, but that's always stuck out to me because I thought, that's cool. So anyway, Creature from the Black Lagoon. Absolutely love it.
The grabbing.
That's creepy too.
Yeah.
Creepy.
Nobody, especially if you're in water. And it's not like a pool. It's like, oh, I'm in some lake and you feel something on your foot. That's something you never do.
Even in our pool when the vacuum is going around.
Oh yeah.
That creeps me out.
Well, that's
it like follows you and wants to eat.
Well, yeah. There's something about not knowing what's in there. And you can see in a pool. It's still something touches your foot.
I'm not talking about a pool. I'm
right?
talking about if you go to like a lake or something and you're like, what's that on my foot? I hope it's not
like
a snake.
The cow rays and stuff.
In the ocean.
Well, the ocean's worse than a lake.
Well, that's like I always thought. Why is Julie Adams jumping off this boat and taking a swim in the Amazon? I would not do that. I don't care how hot you are.
With piranhas and all this other stuff.
There's a lot of creepy stuff in the Amazon, but luckily she wasn't. She was in Florida. And
they're still probably in the Everglades, which I wouldn't recommend swimming in.
I don't remember what I don't remember what part of Florida
she got
it was,
a $40 check and she was good.
She was good to go.
She was like, I'm gonna swim for this $40.
I'm gonna get so many pieces of candy.
So anyway,
centerpiece.
Check out the Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Back then she's like, I'm gonna get a Cadillac.
Right, Rico Browning, a physical letter.
And Tootsie Rolls.
You can find his address online. So yeah, write him a physical letter because he's not been feeling well lately. So check it out though, The Creature from the Black Lagoon. And
this is your final film of your top 5, correct?
I believe it is. I do have an honorable mention, but I'll throw that in towards the end of the video.
All right. So now we're rounding down to our last picks of the evening.
Yeah.
My final pick is The Purge. The first one.
Not the first Purge.
It's not the first Purge?
No, I mean not.
No, he means not the movie called The First Purge.
Oh, no.
Not to be confused with
the original
The original
Right,
Purge.
the very first one.
Okay. Yeah. No, we just saw these movies, a few years ago. Not when they originally came out. We ended up watching them probably, what was it, on one of those?
We watched,
TV.
I think we watched the first one when around the time 2 came out.
Okay. Yeah,
and then we just watched them kind of in succession.
Because we watched.
There were 3 of them, I think.
We watched those 2, and then a little bit later the third one came out. And we watched that, and then they made the prequel, and now there's the Forever Purge, which completely abandons the whole concept of the movie. So what's the point of the movie anymore?
Well, for me, no offense, millennials, but there might be a little. But
here we go.
I
Trigger
find this movie scary because if I had watched this a few years ago or when I was younger, I'd be like, oh, that will never happen.
Right.
But nowadays, it's almost like this could happen. And the main like bad guys are these millennials, these like little rich kids that want to like get in there and in this family's home and I don't know. I just find this very disturbing.
It's basically kind of a commentary on like entitlement.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah,
For sure.
and I don't know. I just find it extremely disturbing that also to think that the government or whoever would allow one night, 24 hours, and be like, "Rrr," and then you can just do whatever you want.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah, but the government likes to make money. How are they going to make money off of something like the Purge?
By, I guess, taking everybody's stuff that's dead.
Well, I think it's by
Accumulating.
not having as many mouths to feed.
Well, yeah, because
the more defenseless people that you have, then that kind of wipes.
Well, they kind of
Oh, yeah, I
they made
guess
that
that's
point
true, yeah.
in one of the movies that it's to kind of like whatever to like please people, but also to get rid of like all the homeless people and
Cleanse society.
It's some kind of
That's
weird.
terrible.
I think it's some kind of weird, like, take on social Darwinism to some degree.
The survival of the fittest.
Kind of like survival of the fittest, but almost survival of the richest.
Oh yeah.
You know what
yeah.
I mean? Like,
well, then that's not really social Darwinism.
okay, like, yeah, it is because
I mean, to a degree,
yeah,
but like,
socioeconomical Darwinism. Then,
yeah.
I mean, just
But also, it's like the entitlement factor, because like the guy in there, he's like, it's our right to purge. Don't keep us from purging.
yeah, and they're just like these little brat kids.
Yeah, they are.
And I don't know, and I really think that it's a pretty good likeness of today's society. Sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like so much entitlement and so much this and that and for it to lead to such chaos.
Right.
And I think that is I don't know, that's scary to me.
It is scary.
Well,
Yeah.
even from the first film too, they kind of like really do lay on that whole idea of them like cleansing the wanted type people. Because the movie starts out, Ethan Hawke is like a security salesman who like sells home security for the Purge night.
Right.
Oh yeah, right.
Come
right.
to find out, it's kind of like placebo because the security is easily destroyed if you really want to get in. And but essentially they have like a young child that like there's a homeless veteran guy.
They have two kids, right?
Yeah, they have an older sister and then the younger kid. And I think the younger kid was the one that played Max on that one show you liked.
Oh,
was it Parenthood?
yes.
Yeah, Parenthood. Yes.
But,
that show.
But anyways,
That's a good show.
he was like, "Oh, we gotta save this guy." And Ethan Hawke's like, "No, we're not putting ourselves in the line for this." And then, of course, the kid lets the guy in and puts their security system up for a second, and that draws the purgers, I guess we'll call them, to the house because they're like, "We need to get rid of the filth and all this." And
Yeah.
because I guess it's kind of like rich versus poor kind of thing, where they're like, they're poor or homeless or whatever, so they don't have a right to live or be in society. And then, in defense of that guy, they end up coming after the family.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's very, like I said, a few years ago, I would have been like, meh, but now that's scary. I think that things like this, that whole mob mentality is kind
it's
of
very real.
scary. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Like, people get all amped up, even if they're not at first, and then all of you around they kind of get all amped up, almost high. Off of
Well, you
all of
see that a lot now, where it comes in for like, there's like a good sense behind something, but then people just start becoming opportunists and getting crazy in it, and things turn into a mob mentality, and
Right.
start stealing things, and people get hurt when that wasn't the original intention. And with this movie too, I do remember after they break into the house towards the end, I believe they're actually saved by their neighbors, but that's only short.
Get to know your neighbors.
No.
Oh, no.
No.
Get to know your neighbors.
Well, maybe get to know your neighbors, but not in this case, because they do save them from these millennial kids because they're about to kill Ethan Hawke and his family. But then come to find out they just killed those people so they could kill them instead of letting the other people get them.
Oh.
So they were wanting to kill him.
Not those kind of neighbors. You
No,
But they
Not
end
the
up
backstabbing
fighting
kind.
back, and I do believe some of the family survives. I don't remember who though.
I think that it's just stuff like this is scary. I think the whole mob mentality, the whole entitlement thing is really prevalent in this, and you just see people just not caring.
Right.
You know, and not
They don't even value human life.
not valuing anything, not even their own.
No.
And that's scary to me.
That is sad. That's a sad commentary.
And
on
that's
society,
like hillbillies or any of them. They, like I said, they don't even
Or
value.
hillbillies.
They don't value in those situations. You're like the crazies or whatever.
Right.
Like they don't they don't really have any value for themselves. It's kind of like that whole survival of the fittest. But if they die, oh well. It's not about them surviving. It's about them killing someone else.
Proving a point and doing what they
Yeah.
want to do, having that freedom to.
Yeah, because if people
do
were
whatever they
killing
wanna
for
do.
survival,
Yeah.
that would be, I guess, different.
But if you're doing it for kicks,
Yeah.
that's a problem.
And that's what hillbillies do. Not all hillbillies. I mean, like
In movies.
in the movie, in House of a Thousand Corpses.
Right.
They kill for kicks. They were killing for kicks.
Yeah,
or,
they were messed up.
Or in
Like Most Dangerous Game kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, and actually, that's a good point because with like the Most Dangerous Game, and like this being like the rich millennial types, it's kind of that sort of urban legend idea where people can have whatever they want, so they have to keep getting more extreme to be entertained.
Right.
Like in a lot of movies, you'll see like there'll be like all the rich people go to like a thing and like sacrifice
more drugs
somebody.
to get your high.
Kind of like
Well, it's like Hostel. The rich people pay
Yeah,
to see
Oh,
these humans
man,
tortured and
that's
killed.
So
and,
horrible.
they're getting the
Rich people are not bad.
They're not bad.
I
But the-
aspire to be a rich person.
Right.
I wealth and riches.
But there
there are some obviously that.
Well, there has been a history
Like,
in film as well as
like
depicting
what-
the rich as being
well, I
quite
mean,
evil.
obviously with all these Hollywood directors and issues with that, and Epstein and all those.
Well,
kind
they
of
give
people.
everyone else a bad name for sure.
Yeah, well, he's a perfect example of the people that have everything, so they just keep doing crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Right,
But
because
he's
you feel like you're
sick
untouchable.
Anyway. Yeah. So the Purge, the original Purge.
Yes.
The other ones, like, I don't know. I kind of liked the one too where it was like the 4th of July or whatever, or the lady was running for.
That was terrible. The third one.
You didn't like that one?
The
Was
second-
that the third one?
Yeah, the second one was good where like it was in the city and the guy was like they were trying to get through the streets and they went through that one part where they were like auctioning people off to kill and everything.
And that's the guy, and the guy that was in the second one was in the third one as well. He was the bodyguard.
Because essentially his whole thing was he was going to go kill this guy that hit his son with a car or something.
Oh, that's right.
But he ended up not doing it because he realized that wasn't him. And then he became the bodyguard to the lady president in the third one. But the third one was just a little too grandiose. Like they were trying to up the scale too much. Like, oh, nobody cares about the purge now. It's all about the election purge and all this kind of like. What?
Yeah.
And then obviously they just kind of the movie stopped being good with the first.
But I had
Purge.
forgotten that Ethan Hawke was in that.
Yeah.
And then the little rich guy they show, he's got the little suit on and the
he looks.
He's like some like little
Slicked over hair.
Yeah.
The way he
Smug
looks.
looking.
Yeah, the way he looks,
some
he reminds me
Lord
of.
Fauntleroy guy.
Right.
What he reminds
What
me
a
of
turd.
is Heath Ledger's Joker with no makeup.
Yeah.
Oh, that guy. Yeah.
I can see that.
And interestingly enough, too, Ethan Hawke was in another good movie that I would kind of recommend as a bonus as the first Sinister. The second one, not so good. The first one is pretty good,
I've
though.
never seen that one.
Okay. Sinister. Check that one out as well.
Yeah, so the Purge, the original, not
the first.
not
Purge.
the first Purge, the original Purge.
The Purge.
And I wouldn't watch that with children either.
All right, and my final pick of the evening is The Skeleton Key, starring Kate Hudson. And this film is really, really good, actually. It's kind of one of those things I probably was just watching Sci-Fi Channel or just TNT. I don't know, some channel
Right,
some
some cable channel.
I think I might have been at Grandma's when I watched it, and I was like, well, this is actually really good.
No, I thought we watched it at the apartment.
We watched it, but I don't know if you watched it with us. I think you watched it later.
I didn't
on
watch
in
it
life.
with you guys.
Yeah.
But no, it's really good. If memory serves, essentially Kate Hudson is a live-in nurse for the elderly and hospice type individuals, And I think it happens in Louisiana too.
I believe so.
All good things happen in Louisiana, New Orleans.
Apparently, that's
voodoo.
Yeah, all the creepy bayou stuff. But anyway, she goes because I believe the lady of the house is dying or something like that. So she's gonna go take care of them, and they're these weird old people. And
no offense.
But anyway,
to old people.
But they're
weird people.
They're this weird old couple that lives in this big bayou mansion, of course, and it's been a while since I've seen this, so I don't remember all the details. But essentially, she's taking care of them, and of course, they're acting strange, and there's all these weird things she's finding out. I actually don't even remember the relevance of the actual skeleton key.
I don't either. I don't remember what that had to do with anything either.
But
for some reason, I'm thinking it was some kind of Dorian Gray thing.
No, it's not at all Dorian Gray.
Oh.
But anyways, I don't recall. I think maybe the skeleton key, like maybe she found it or something, and like there was evidence of what they were doing. But the skinny of it is basically these two old people are actually they're old people on the outside, but they're inside.
They're definitely that.
Their souls, I guess, are actually the souls of these two slaves that were practitioners of the voodoo arts in like the 1600s or something like that. And essentially, they were slaves to the gentleman who owned the plantation at the time. And basically, what happened in the flashback is they show that the two slaves switch places with the master of the plantation and his wife, and once they had switched bodies, they of course are like, "Oh, come here, guards," or whatever, and then they hang the two slaves. But of course, we know that they had switched bodies already, and the master of the plantation is the one that died. And basically, they show that they had been switching bodies with unfortunate individuals who had come across their paths to basically live forever up until modern times. And assumedly, they were trying to switch bodies with Jennifer Hudson's character because the old lady was dying.
Kate Hudson.
Or Kate Hudson, yes, I'm sorry. And I honestly don't remember if they're successful in that or not. I feel like there was a twist where she feels like she gets away, but she ends up...
I don't even
At the end of
remember.
it, she ends up taking her body, yeah.
Yeah, so
that's how it ends.
So she does end up getting her. So
does.
so unfortunately, but it's really good, actually. It's kind of interestingly enough, if anybody's seen Get Out, that's kind of almost... It's different, but sort of a similar film, except with that one, we have the slaves switching bodies up until modern times using, magical arts and things like that. Whereas Get Out kind of turns all that on its head, and you have all these rich, older, white, high-class individuals who are, instead of using magic, they're doing these weird experimental surgeries that, of course, could never happen in reality, but to take the bodies of young black individuals that are athletic so they can live forever. So it's kind of like a swapped version of that, and using science instead of magic. So if you like Get Out, it's different, but I would recommend The Skeleton Key too.
Oh yeah, that's a great movie.
It's a different movie, and it has got a different feel, but it's a similar idea.
And all that's like really creepy. Anything that happens in Louisiana, almost.
Yeah, Louisiana and the voodoo stuff. It's always really creepy.
Swamp and bayou. Because like, what do we watch? We watched that movie.
Because they're basically bayou hillbillies, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Running theme.
Because we watched some movie, remember, with Matthew McConaughey and
was it The Paperboy?
yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I know that was a whole different scenario,
but it was still there was some creepy parts.
yeah, it was
of
all like
Louisiana
bayou
down there.
and swamp.
Yeah, and it had John Cusack in it, as a matter of fact, who played this Cajun nut job.
Oh, it
who ends
did.
up killing Matthew McConaughey
Yes.
by cutting his throat with a machete.
Because he was in prison.
Nicole Kidman's in it.
And the lady, was it Nicole Kidman?
She was the one that was marrying the guy or in love with the guy or whatever. John Cusack's
Yeah,
character.
and then she
he was
meets
in
him,
prison.
and then he gets out of prison, and he's really a terrible person. Well, duh.
Yeah,
But
ladies,
he's a
never marry a guy in prison. That's
It's a bad
terrible
idea.
idea.
Yeah.
They're there for a reason.
And he's
I
like
mean,
beating her, and then Matthew McConaughey goes and tries to Matthew McConaughey and his little brother, right?
The guy from
his little brother's
High School
kind of
Musical,
in love with him.
Zac Efron.
Yeah, because he's kind of
because he's in love with Nicole Kidman.
Yeah. And he goes and tries to rescue her, and it doesn't turn out well for them.
But that's a great film too, The Paperboy. But yeah, so the skeleton.
Yeah, it's a very atmospheric film from what I remember. Yeah. And yeah, all that Louisiana voodoo stuff is usually
What's her
creepy.
name? Marie Laveau. Yeah.
The Cajun Witch.
Yeah, like from the karaoke, the guy that sings that. I don't know.
That's exactly how it goes.
Like that.
Not exactly.
It was a very weird, like something about Marie Laveau.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember the lyrics. You can Google it.
They even have
a
Marie Laveau museum there.
Well, yeah, she's an infamous character. From what I heard regarding Marie Laveau, I believe it was her, that it's kind of crazy because at the time of her existing, you know what I mean, especially in Louisiana and things like that, people were, still extremely racist. And what caught me off guard is what they said was in Marie Laveau's mansion or whatever, her compound, I guess you'd call, the slaves were so like mutilated and like just starving and all these such terrible conditions that even your average, racist Louisiana person who, you would be like, oh, why would they care?
I thought she was a witch.
Well, yeah.
But anyways, your average, Louisiana at that time, who probably was racist, and you would be like, oh, well, they don't care about how slaves are being treated. They were so like horrified by how this was. They burned down the whole house and
her house.
Yeah, and they were going after her. I think people have thought she escaped or something. I don't know if she did or she died. I don't remember exactly, but I found that to be a really interesting tidbit that even the people that were so like, oh, who cares about rights, and slaves and everything, but they were that horrified by their treatment, which you would think they wouldn't care, but it had to have been that extreme.
Wow, that's crazy.
So the Skeleton Key. I mean, yeah. Louisiana is creepy.
It's a good spooky setting.
I wouldn't recommend going to the bayous, but I would recommend this film. And so that's
where was that? The
Deliverance?
Yeah, where was that? Was that in Louisiana?
No,
that was some float trip in the Rockies,
Arkansas.
probably.
Arkansas or
the Smokies,
or maybe it was. I don't know exactly where it was, but it was. Yeah,
it was creepy.
Redneck
You
stuff.
got a pretty
Yeah, it was
mouth.
scary.
Yeah, as you can see, a trend.
You got a pretty mouth. Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm telling you.
I would definitely.
They'll eat you. They'll kill you. They'll
do all kinds of unspeakable things.
Yeah. Not for kids.
But this Halloween, I would not end the season without giving this one a watch.
I agree.
Excellent
choice.
And that concludes our official top 5 movies. Though I do believe my father here has a honorable mention.
I do have an honorable.
How honorable it is, I can't say.
Yeah.
All right, and I've got one more. I know we said top 5, and I've done my top 5, as we all have. But I've got one honorable mention because I absolutely love this movie. It's creepy. It's super atmospheric. It's perfect for Halloween. And it is the Jose Mojica Marin's film, At Midnight, I Will Take Your Soul. Yes, I think it's considered to be Brazil's first horror film, from what I understand. And basically, it is Jose Mojica Marins playing the character of Zaydo Kaisho. He's an evil undertaker, and
he was Coffin Joe.
Coffin Joe is a name that he was actually given. It's not something that he came up with. It's just a nickname that sort of fell on him, and I don't even know if he was that fond of that.
How do you get Zaydo Kaisho from Coffin Joe from Zaydo Kaisho?
I don't know how that came.
That sounds almost Japanese or something.
You would have to ask someone how it came to be. Somebody that's more, into all of that. I don't know. But I have read that he wasn't, and I could be wrong about this because I'm not an expert on Mr. Marins and his body of work, although I do enjoy all of his films.
Friends with one of his.
Well, that's like a niece, but that's neither here
nor there. Maybe she would know about him, but I think most Brazilians are less concerned about him and more about not wearing tops.
or what is it? Carnival.
Things of that nature, right?
Yeah.
More modernized things. But this film,
I don't know if that's modern.
well, I mean, it's not, but the stuff they still do.
Debauchery,
They still celebrate
Carnival.
those types of things. But yeah, the film's in Portuguese. If you're fortunate enough to get a subtitled copy to watch, I would highly recommend it. His character is just so evil, like I said, he's an undertaker, and from what I recall, he's trying to, if I remember correctly, he's trying to have a kid, but his wife can't give him a child, so he's going in search of someone to,
So
have
does
a
he
kid with.
inseminate dead people?
No, I think that would be counterproductive. He's not a wizard or anything. I mean, he's like bringing dead people. But he's just. I mean, you look at this picture. He's got these extra long nails, which are horrific.
Gross. Are they real?
You know what? I would almost say he probably did grow them out for the film, but I don't know if that's true. They could be fake. So there again, I'm not an expert. But for this character, the top hat, the cloak, it reminds me of there's an episode, or actually there's two episodes.
The lady necklace.
That's cool. There's two episodes of the Three Stooges. They're like Halloween episodes where there's these characters run around. The Stooges, of course, are scared of them. They think they're really monsters. There's a skeleton, a devil, and there's, if I'm not mistaken, a guy in a top hat and a cape. And that always reminded me of the Coffin Joe character. Just that. So whenever I see him with the top hat and cape, I kind of think of those Three Stooges episodes, but in passing.
So he's really evil because he wants to have a son?
Well, it's the way he goes about doing things. Like, he will just take people and just abuse them, torture them. And, it's not like these people are just going along, I don't know where you're getting this.
Well, if he wants to have a kid.
Well, I don't think he's doing it. I'm not saying he's...
How's he going to get a kid?
I don't know. But the whole... maybe he does inseminate him then. That sounds more like a clinical thing to me, insemination.
You know what sounds like a nicer way of saying it?
Of having his way with them?
Yes.
Well, either way... It's been years since I saw this. That's why I say this is honorable mention.
But what does he do with those fingernails?
Well, I would think it'd be very limited as to what he could do with those fingernails. I do believe there's a scene where he claws a guy's face and some things like that. Because he's one of these guys that walks around and he doesn't take, crap off of anyone. He's just evil and tough and arrogant, and he wants what he wants and nothing's going to stop him, So, Zaydo Kai Show, if I'm pronouncing that right, probably not. I'm notorious for pronouncing things wrong in the podcast. Kind of like the kids from The Purge, only much classier. He's got the silk top hat and the cape.
He has issues doing normal everyday.
And he actually has a job, as the kids in The Purge.
Oh, he's an undertaker.
They're just spoiled rich kids. I don't
know if he has a job, because I don't even think he can, properly wipe himself with these nails, so I don't know how he's supposed to, prepare corpses.
Maybe he has a housekeeper that does that for him or something. I don't know.
He has a bidet.
Do they also do his real job? Because I don't think you can handle corpses.
I don't know.
He's the funeral director.
But
I gotcha. You pick this up. You move this heavy coffin.
Yeah. But if you've never seen a Marin's film, I would highly recommend this one to start. There are quite a few of them. They're all very, in my opinion, very good, very disturbing, very nice, very evil, as Danhausen would say.
Yeah.
But no, I would highly recommend this film as a nice introduction to the Zaydo Kai Show, Jose Mojica Marin's film series.
At Soul, he takes your...
At Soul, he takes your midnight.
At midnight, he takes your soul.
So he's in Korea.
Hour.
He's in Korea. He's not in Korea, no.
But the time change...
He is in Brazil.
But the time change causes the midnight to pass.
In Seoul, he takes your midnight,
Yes, that's right. But
he's smooth like butter.
He's smooth like butter? How's it go? I don't know. It doesn't matter.
And what is it? No.
Oh, you mean in a commercial?
Smooth like butter.
Like a criminal undercover.
So that's how you lie.
No, it just came to me. You triggered a memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Commercials that get stuck.
That's really his theme.
That should be, because he is smooth like butter.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
He's not really undercover.
But no, he's just a phenomenal filmmaker.
He's under a literal cover.
He's really he's a legend. So anyway, at midnight I will take your soul. That's my bonus film recommendation for the Halloween season. So For the Paid Green Peppers podcast, I am Mr. Sean Patrick Height. With me,
Margaret Height.
And
I'm Justice Height.
And we just want you guys to have an awesome Halloween.
Family.
Yeah, sing it.
All my brothers. Oh no, they're not my brothers.
All my
son, my husband.
Have a wonderful Halloween, and watch out for the hillbillies.
Yeah, because apparently they're everywhere.
And the razor blades.
Look under your bed; they're there.
Yeah.
Right. Peace.
Peace.
Whew. Well, another successful episode of Paid Green Peppers in the can.
Go first.
I'm at loss for words. I don't know what anything happened, like dialogue-wise, but I feel like I still understood the story somewhat.
Yeah. You got the gist of it.
Yeah. If you ever see
Without the fine details.
Yeah. If you ever see a bald man with a monocle.
And an S is
Never a
blazing
good.
across.
That's never.
They're always
Exactly.
evil. If you wear a monocle, you're evil. Let's
Yeah.
just be honest. If I ever see somebody with a monocle, forget
I'm
it.
surprised he didn't have a mustache, because I feel like bald head, mustache, monocle.
Yeah, that's true. That might have been too cliche.
Yeah.
Maybe.
God knows.
They wanted to have a little bit of add a little bit of stuff.
We don't want to go too far, you know. I mean, it's stereotypical.
With all that being said, I think the set designs in parts were really well done, like the lab.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. Like you said, like the artwork on that. And
Right.
The brain of the operation. Although the costumes were those cheap masks you could send off for,
Sure.
they worked. They looked really good. I was really impressed with the mummy. The Dracula was kind of a...
Yeah.
I don't know, you know.
He was different.
Yeah.
He was well fed.
Yeah.
He
was
almost
no
kind of
short
an Elvis
supply.
quality to him,
Exactly.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what about you, Mr. Jeff?
Yeah, it's kind of like you and I had talked earlier. I think any movie, depending on what it is, it depends on who you're watching it with and what venue you're at and stuff.
Right,
like that.
right.
So, if I'd been sitting at home and alone, and not like I haven't done this, sit alone at home and watch this kind of movie,
As we all have.
as we all have, and do it quite often, actually.
Not me.
I would not have enjoyed it as much as I did sitting here with you guys and
Yeah.
watching it, but in this venue and watching it is very enjoyable. I've seen worse. Whether it comes to just the action of the story or the way that they make the monsters look or whatever. There's a lot worse out there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
But
absolutely.
yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, me too. I thought it was a fun film. I thought for a children's film, it was maybe a little intense in parts, like the blood and
the cat creature.
Yeah, right. Although I've really enjoyed the aesthetics of the creature. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't exactly a perfect mock-up of the original, but for I'm sure a very low budget film. It was actually pretty well made, the costume. So I enjoyed it as a whole.
I'd give it a...
Oh yeah, out of how many green peppers? That's the thing here. This is our first... Let's all look at the camera. I guess we should turn a bit. For our first live recording of the Paid Green Peppers podcast, we always give it a rating of how many green peppers on a scale of 1 to... I never remember if it's 1 to 10, 1 to 5. So we'll just go with 5, whatever.
Okay.
But, so what... starting with Jeff here, Mr. Jeff Stamp, what would you, in your expertise... because this man has years of experience dealing with
watching
horror
crappy
films,
movies.
crappy movies, if you will, B
Crappy
movies.
movies,
So in your expertise, what would you rate this on a scale of 1 to 5 green peppers?
Yeah, and like I said, it's all in your perspective. If I had watched this alone at home, I probably would have given it a 2.
Right.
But watching it with you guys, some of people that I know have the same aficionado for basically junk, like I do.
That's fair.
Cinematic trash. I'd say it was easily a 4, maybe, you know,
Yeah.
in an enjoyable setting like this.
Yeah.
Cool. What about you, Mr. Jacob Stamp?
So I'm gonna give the number. I'd say probably like a 3.5.
Okay.
Green peppers. I mean, it's a story. Like, even though we can understand the dialogue, it's a story that's been told many times.
Yeah.
Many different
sure
situations. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
it really has.
Yeah. Kids go out and like stumble upon something they're not
Yeah.
supposed to. They end up saving the day. It's fun. I like the creatures. I like the monsters. You know, and quality-wise, is it the best? No, but it's fun to look at. And
Yeah, it is.
if you're just looking for something entertaining, I definitely suggest this movie. How about you?
In my unbiased opinion, because I am a connoisseur of garbage, celluloid trash, whatever you want to call it, I look at it as art. Of course, it's all art, good or bad, just like paintings or anything, whatever. I think a lot of famous paintings are garbage, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, I agree
and
with
we're
you,
all.
man.
That's what it's all about. It's
Except
about
the naked ones.
Well, you know, hey. But no, it's I would give this 4 green peppers, and I know that seems high, but that's generally where I lean towards on these types of things, because I love the monsters. I don't care if they're Don Post masks, Traveler's novelty masks. I don't care if they're Ben Cooper Halloween masks. I like them. I like seeing them utilized in film. I don't care if it's $1 million special effects budget, if it's entertaining to me. And even though it was a children's story, it was peppered with a little bit of gore, a little bit of intensity, a lot of just ludicrous scenarios. But as you said, it's been done 1 million times. Cartoons, films, it's, you know, it's not
It's like every episode of Scooby-Doo. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It was like a live-action Spanish Scooby-Doo, really.
But there's a reason they use that formula, and it's because it works.
And what
It does work.
And people watch it. And,
Yeah.
and if it didn't, they wouldn't do it.
That's true, and you can always, insert a new twist, which the robot thing was, which Jeff kind of called early on. He figured that out. But it was a bit of a twist. I don't know if everyone would have figured that out, because you did have monsters killing monsters.
Yeah,
like,
that
the mummy
was
killed the
weird.
creature.
Yeah.
I didn't see any fire shooting out of him.
No.
And plus, he's swimming in water, so he didn't short out.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. He didn't short out, so did they... Was he some sort of, they sealed him up with...
Yeah.
Maybe he was
like
all
an
of his seams were
Aztec,
caulked up. Or, I don't know what was going on there.
No.
So that kind of threw me for a loop a little bit.
Yeah. That's the
So,
twist.
Did it ever show how they demise the mummy? Did I miss that?
They didn't show it.
I don't
I'm
think
pretty
they
sure
did.
didn't.
I mean, all the other monsters, they showed them
yeah.
taking them out.
But the mummy,
No.
I don't think they did.
Yeah, I mean, the Wolfman went in the pit.
Right,
Creature was killed by the mummy.
Yeah.
Dracula's head got on fire.
Right.
Frankenstein basically got mobilized when he killed the brain.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
before that.
Killed the
But
brain.
it never did show what happened to the mummy, right?
No, I guess we're just led to believe that, I guess he got immobilized when they destroyed the brain center. But we didn't see any dramatic
No.
into his being. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of that.
And he was really, let's be honest, the coolest of the
really
monsters.
looked
He
good.
looked
great.
the most
He looked
authentic
great.
and just a well done, job. The actor was super skinny, and the bandages and the Don Post mask worked
He
perfectly.
was very agile too. You know,
He was
climbing
way more
rocks,
agile than the creature. That dude was stumbling all over the place.
fell out the
Especially
bathtub,
at the end.
broke his ankle.
After he rolled his ankle and broke his leg.
I think he was in the bathtub with tequila.
And then I felt really horrible for the guy playing the vampire with the fire on his head.
Oh, I know.
It just kept smoking more and flaming more, and you could just see him kind of blinking like, is this over yet? Because this is fire on my head. There couldn't be much of a barrier between his actual head and that wig thing, so I'm sure he was feeling the heat. So, but I mean,
Well, I didn't mean to step on your review there. I just got.
Oh no! I mean,
where the mummy went to.
that was a great question actually. So, yeah, I would give it 4 out of 5 stars.
4 out of 5.
Yeah. So anyway, I would like to say we miss you, Shane. I'm sorry you couldn't be here.
Yeah, what
but,
the heck, man?
But I tried to fill your shoes here. It took 2 people.
Took 2 of us.
But
I'm the right shoe, he's the left.
There you go.
Yeah.
Shoes filled, and I think you guys did a phenomenal job.
Neither
and,
one of them were as angry.
Should I flip the table?
Right. Maybe you should break things. I don't know, or scream or something. Maybe not. But for our first Paid in Green Peppers live action video special, I guess we could call it. I am Mr. Sean Patrick Height. This is
Jacob Stamp.
Yep.
Say it with conviction, baby.
Jacob Stamp!
There you go. And the legendary
Jeff Stamp, and we want to thank you so much for inviting us.
Well, it's my pleasure.
We had such a good time.
Well, thank you for
Hopefully,
coming.
hopefully we can come back once in a while.
We will do it again.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we absolutely will. So, yeah, for the Paid in Green Peppers podcast, I guess we're saying adios.
Adios.
See you later.